Sony should be banned from making Spider-Man live-action movies without the MCU.
Sony should be banned from making comic book movies, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I think you guys have had a good try. You know, I don't think, it just didn't work.
Yeah,
That's okay.
They put the final nail in the coffin of this Sony failed universe. Miss after miss after miss. What are y'all doing?
It's almost like, let's not put Spider-Man in next to him.
Yeah, right?
At least this version of him,
If this was like a job review, you would be fine.
Oh my God, yeah. Like
every year after year, you're shooting low.
It just never got out of second gear.
Yeah.
Right. Very different than the Kraven we're used to. He's a big game hunter. Right. In this, feels like he's working for PETA.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that felt off to me.
Right.
Val Kilmer was a better Bruce Wayne than Michael Keaton.
Ugh. I disagree with that one.
Okay.
I disagree with that too.
All right.
Yeah.
That's it. Fuck you guys, man. I'm tired of every shit here. I've had enough. All right. Welcome to Only Comics. I'm Mike. This is Adrian.
What's up?
And this is Chris.
Hey.
Chris is back.
Good to see you guys.
What's up, dude?
How are you guys doing?
Great, man. You weathered the storm. Not really a storm, but it's fucking cold out there, bro.
Yeah, it is.
Shit, dude.
Yeah. It's bad. I got all kind of bad stuff happening. It's just crazy. The cold is just one of them.
That's just one of them. Yeah, you've had a week, dude.
Right.
You've had a week.
I mean, again, my favorite time of the year, but
Yep.
this one I think is going to be a cold one this year.
Yeah. It was like 19 degrees this morning.
Right.
As long as there's no snow. I don't do the snow.
Yeah.
I'm over it.
I'd rather have the snow with this cold than just have the cold. Because this is like some,
give
some
it a reason to
Chicago,
be this cold.
Gotham City shit right here.
It did feel like waking up in Gotham this morning, dude, a little bit. So, dude, Chris, you've been on the show in the past. You were actually on our first episode.
Yep, right.
And so we're going to bring you through a thing that we've kind of morphed this show into fun with Mike and Adrian. Okay? So it has,
all right.
Only Comics is like the alias now.
Yeah.
The real reason
That's
we
right.
come here is just to have fun,
All right.
So we like to hop into some comic news and rumors. A lot of shit going on. We Kraven the Hunter came out this past week. Right. So you saw it yesterday?
I did see it.
Yep, I did too. I'm not gonna lie, dude. So I went to this movie theater. They shall remain nameless, Mystic Theater. So, dude, I can be dramatic at times. Adrian. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah.
So I walk into this movie theater, and I have never in my life been in a public building that was as warm as this movie theater was.
Oh.
That wasn't a sauna.
They're sweating
Dude,
you out.
holy like, I'm talking the second you walk in, you feel it on your face. To the point, dude, I had to get up, like, 20 minutes in and asked them, like, yo, is there anything y'all can do about the heat in there? Because it's like on 100. I said I saw 3 people pass out.
Wow.
So they did turn it down, but then it got to me, dude. I was struggling towards the end of that movie.
It's a problem when it's super cold outside. Everyone wants to overcompensate indoors, and it's just
you can't do that. You can't do that, especially with the number of bodies.
Oh my God,
that ends up being in space. But I mean, I was in Mystic. The last movie I saw, I don't remember what it was, but this was recent.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a heat experience, but I did have an experience.
Okay.
Never go back to that theater for me. So it's one of those.
Gotcha. Well, I saw Kraven this past weekend, and that's in the news a lot. And there's a new report that kind of reveals their whole approach to this, I guess, failed universe that they tried to create. I mean, we had 3 shitty Venom movies. We had Morbius. I still haven't seen that, unfortunately, or fortunately.
You're missing out.
It still classifies as shitty, so.
Okay. We saw the beloved Madam Web movie earlier this year.
Beloved.
Yes.
A masterpiece.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But so news that kind of got out is, number one, that there was never no shared universe. Originally, they wanted to make this shared universe. Some of the movies did so bad, they kind of just kept putting out standalone projects. But the question that everyone had is like, dude, where is Spider-Man? Why is he not in these movies?
Right.
And I think
fair
that's
question.
I mean, is that not the overarch? Like, there's issues with all these movies, but it's making Joker without Batman. We've seen how that works out.
Yeah.
So it and the reason why the reason why they haven't had Spider-Man in there is that what they said was they didn't want it to be confusing. So you had the Spider-Man in the MCU. So they said if we had that Spider-Man show up in this movie, that would be confusing to audiences. Like, I think it's more confusing to not have Spider-Man in the Spider-Man movie. Like, why can't he show up here in a standalone story, still be the same character? I mean, we see it in comics all the time, right?
What's the confusing part? I am confused about that.
You know, they haven't figured that part out yet.
Is it because there's another comic book character in the movie? Is it because of licensing that is going to be confusing? I mean, I don't know. I don't understand. What's the confusing part about a Spider-Man showing up in a Spider-Villain movie?
I don't think it's confusing at all.
Who owns Spider-Man? I'm so confused as to how that works now because we're so deep into this attempted shared universe. Who owns them? Who owns Spider-Man?
So technically, Sony owns the rights. So there's this rule where they have to put out a Spider-Man film. I think it's every 2 or 3 years, or they lose the rights.
Okay.
So a movie like Madam Web, even though they can't say Peter or Spider-Man,
necessity.
It's a necessity, and it is classified as a Spider-Man movie. Allows them to keep the license. Okay. So there's that. Now Sony has somewhat leased the rights back to Marvel in some of these movies, like the the Spider-Man Tom Holland trilogy.
Yep. Right.
But they're still produced by Sony. So
and the Avengers and stuff like that.
And the Avengers,
Yeah.
So they came to some agreement. Hey, you can use him in these movies, but he's kind of our character. And in the Spider-Man movies are still produced by Sony, even though the MCU is overseen them or whatnot.
Okay.
But the leadership there says that if we had this Tom Holland Spider-Man show up in this movie, it would confuse audiences.
Well, how about this? Instead of Spider-Man showing up in Sony's, who has the rights to him, instead of Spider-Man, the MCU Spider-Man showing up in a Sony movie, how about Sony's shitty character show up in a MCU movie?
There you go. Yeah.
That way there's no confusion. Sony doesn't have to figure out a marketing speech to explain why Spider-Man is in a Spider-Villain show.
Yeah.
Correct.
Now, wasn't there? I can't remember the movie. I think it was at the end of some Marvel thing. I think it was Doctor Strange when they were doing the multiverse thing. There was a piece of Venom. There was an end credit scene that went into the.
There was No Way Home.
There was no way. Yeah. They like crossed over into another. Did that ever go anywhere?
No.
Hold on. Is that piece of Venom that they found on the counter in Venom 3?
Yep.
Oh, did that happen?
There was because remember that when he first tracked him down, and he was in there making milkshakes or some shit in the bar, right?
Yeah.
And a piece of him fell out on the counter or something like that.
Yeah,
correct.
And then later they came and picked up that piece.
Yep.
And it was not part of the piece that was in that in the lab where all the rest of them broke out.
Correct.
Yeah. So somewhere this little piece is in a jar somewhere.
It's floating around somewhere, Chris.
And we never figured that out.
It's like the drones in New Jersey. We have no idea what the hell's going on. Like,
I hope we figure that out soon.
Wait a minute, what's with the drones in New Jersey, dude?
Do you ever see
we talking about the birds?
Hundreds of drones just every night. There's all kinds of cell phone videos. The government's like, we don't really know what's happening.
All at the East Coast, but don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Yep.
Don't worry about it.
No one's saying anything.
We can't do anything about it.
Right.
That's ridiculous.
So far, you got like the current administration's like, nothing. Trump's like, shoot them down.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know.
Weather balloons. What are you gonna do? I mean,
That, see, Chris, this is only comics where we discuss comics and only comics.
Absolutely.
No,
And shit like this.
shit like this. What's funny is this is not the first attempt to bring Kraven the Hunter to live action. So Ryan Coogler, who directed Black Panther 1 and 2, originally he wanted to bring wanted to bring Kraven into the first Black Panther movie and have him fight T'Challa.
Dude, how awesome would that be? Now, if you got, imagine this. You got T'Challa with Aurora, who herself is not the Halle Berry one, please.
Right.
Or the other one.
This one right here on my shirt, dude. This storm.
That one.
Yes.
That one. So, T'Challa, Aurora, and then the adversary is Kraven. That'll be, I mean, you talking about, that would be almost like a Wolverine Hulk fight.
Yeah.
I think, dude.
Absolutely. So I guess it's too bad we waited and got him here. Right. But we'll get into that a little bit later. Ariana DeBose, she played Calypso in Kraven.
Yeah.
Pretty cool character, right? From the comic. I mean, she's always in Spider-Man stuff. And I thought she did a good job.
Right. I remember Calypso as something else, though. She was more like, I don't want to pooch screw her, so I'm not going to say it, but
she was Haitian in the comics.
It was close enough. Well, not really. I don't want to offend anybody. But anyway, she was different in the comics than the way they portrayed her in Kraven, but I think the way they portrayed her in Kraven was pretty cool also.
Yeah. Now, she's smart, though. Here's what she said. She said, this is meant to be a standalone film and an origin story, but I do think Kraven deserves that epic showdown with Spider-Man.
Absolutely.
I couldn't agree more, dude. Like, now, because you're a big Spider-Man guy, right? How did... You have not seen Kraven yet.
No.
So we're going to spoil the shit out of it for you today.
Yeah,
So.
sounds good. That's
why you showed up, right?
Yeah.
We'll get to that later, but...
Chris wants to keep his kidney by not going to the movie.
Seriously. You take out a loan nowadays.
Right.
But were you a big Kraven fan from the comics?
I was interested in him. He was never like a main villain to me.
Yeah.
I was always kind of Green Goblin, but I was really interested in, that was one of the ones that when you do a deep dive of Spider-Man, he is a big chunk of the character history. So very interesting character to deal with.
Yeah.
You know? So it's a shame that they couldn't translate it to on-screen well. But if you remove the main, hero from that story, I can see how that maybe wouldn't work. Now, an origin story I could see being kind of cool.
Sure.
Which is pretty much what it was. I mean, I feel like of all these Spider-Man-less Spider-Man movies, this one didn't feel like it was missing Spider-Man as much as the others.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Because it was just a true origin for Kraven.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
And they did stick to comic origins for the most part. They didn't, as I said, take many liberties with this story.
Yeah.
But I agree with Calypso here, Ariana DeBose. Moving on, Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds. So you see Deadpool and Wolverine?
I did not.
Oh,
But I
man.
heard it's amazing.
It is.
I heard it's amazing, so it's on my list.
It's on Disney Plus now.
Yeah.
We're huge fans of it.
Yeah.
It's probably pretty split. A lot of the fan base thought it was a little too silly,
Really?
but I'm like, dude, it's Deadpool.
I kind of hold off on new movies now until I kind of get reception from people. I know
Yeah.
that's not a popular thing to do, but I kind of get a feel for the temperature for what we're dealing with. And I keep hearing people say that was a really fun one to see.
It was very fun.
Yeah.
It was very fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was not like, the most deep story, but it was very fun.
And I think it was also for not confusing. It was easy to follow.
Yes.
Despite everything that they were doing, popping around, things like that. I think it was a pretty easy show to follow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How
So,
was Hugh Jackman in it?
oh, phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
I think it was the most Wolverine we've ever seen him be, true to just Wolverine in the comics.
Right.
It was, I think, his best portrayal as Wolverine
Nice.
ever.
Okay.
So,
All right.
oh, yeah.
And by best betrayal, I'm assuming you mean not only the appearance and the acting, but the action.
Oh, yeah.
The things that make Wolverine.
Right,
He had a lot of opportunity to just let go in this movie. So
Nice.
Dude,
and
running around
particularly-
on all fours and
right.
fight. I mean, claws
Nice.
through body parts.
Yeah.
It was
They
amazing.
gave him a high note for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. I mean, we finally see him with the mask at some point. It was phenomenal. But so Secret Wars. You've heard much about Doomsday and Secret Wars, the next two Avengers movies? So it's like bringing Chris under the learning tree today.
Yeah.
So Avengers Doomsday, Robert Downey Jr. is returning as Dr. Doom.
I did.
You
hear
saw that reveal.
I did hear that.
And then Secret Wars. Have you read either Secret Wars?
No.
Okay, they're phenomenal.
Yeah.
There's just about every fucking character in Marvel are in them, right? So
Yeah.
a lot of the rumors that we've been hearing lately are all, this guy's going to show up in Secret Wars. I heard that the three of us might show up in Secret Wars. So I don't know. I got to check my...
Definitely Kevin Hart's going to show.
Yeah, Kevin Hart will be there. As you like to say, a little shrub or something. a little bush runs by as Kevin Hart, I think The Rock might be there. I don't know. But anyways, Secret Wars, every other week there's a new rumor about somebody showing up. Now, Deadpool is now part of the MCU, so that there's a rumor that he'll be there. This is what Ryan Reynolds had to say. He says, there's no updates to share yet, but I trust Kevin and Lou Esposito with my life. The character trait I love about Deadpool is he's a fanboy. His enthusiasm and longing to be part of a team is really endearing to me. It is overarching wish fulfillment. But here's what he says. I don't think he should ever be an Avenger or an X-Men. If he becomes either, we're at the end of his story. Which I agree. It's kind of like the intrigue of Deadpool, right? He wants to be part of the team so bad.
Right.
And even we saw in this movie with Happy, dude, you're not on the team.
Right.
Or even in the second Deadpool movie when he's like an X-Men trainee, but he don't fit in. Right. So I like this. He always should kind of be on the outskirts.
Absolutely. I mean, he's tried to create his own teams and poo screw them, from the inside out.
Yeah.
So, he's definitely not a team player, but he can be on an already established team.
Right.
He's kind of like a visiting family member or something that comes for Christmas. Hey, we show up, we're gonna do this thing, then I'm out.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's kind of what he said. He says he has some pitches for some ideas because now that this movie blew up, of course, naturally, where's the sequel, right? Yep. He said he had some pitches, but none of them center on Deadpool. He is a great supporting or ensemble player, and I would always want Deadpool and Wolverine to be paired in some way. I like that. I don't think we don't need, a bunch of Deadpool movies. Yeah. Have them show up here and there. It's like I think he's on point with this.
I absolutely agree, dude. I mean, I wouldn't even, I don't think I would want another Deadpool Wolverine movie at this point. This one was like perfection.
Yeah.
Leave it alone. There's only one Mona Lisa. Leave it alone.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
And I think Deadpool kind of exists that way in the comics. He kind of like guest stars in a lot of things.
Yeah.
I think his character works really well for that.
And I think there's a lot of villains that can do that. Doom can do that. He can pop around. Yep. I mean, there's a lot of people that don't need their own stuff. Cable, he can pop around.
Right.
Wolverine can pop around. Hulk can pop around. I mean, just like Iron Man popped around in the Spider-Man movies because of the relationship with Peter.
Yep.
There's a lot of characters that can do that. And there's a lot of characters like in these hidden gems that can be introduced that way. Mm-hmm. And then don't make a bunch of movies about some lame ass character, but you can do like a mini series like Echo. Well, not like Echo, but in that arena of let's make a short 8-film series, put it on streaming, and then that's it.
Yep. One of the critiques you hear online about Robert Downey Jr. coming back as Doom, and no one can explain this to me yet. Like it's lazy. It's lazy to bring him back.
Lazy.
Isn't the goal behind making these movies at the end of the day to be successful? Like it's just a money grab. Okay, let me explain something to you. If the movie doesn't do well in the theater, the fucking universe is over.
Yeah.
They don't just make movies that nobody goes to watch and keep making them. So the fact, it's just a cash grab, it's just lazy. I think it's genius.
Absolutely.
Like why he knocked this one role out of the park already.
Yeah.
And this is what kind of the Russo brothers said was we have to get Doom right.
Yeah.
Why not?
You're trying to sell tickets.
Absolutely.
And you've already ended Iron Man on a high note.
Yeah.
So and it's not a new thing for them to hire the same actor to play a different role.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm sure he can play it different enough. You're not going to be looking at Tony Stark.
And that's what people don't get. Yeah.
Right.
They're like, when he walks, all I'm going to think is Tony Stark. All right, well, Doom.
That's a movie.
His face is covered in the first place. Come on.
Right.
I mean, we talked about Penguin before we got on here. Colin Farrell, he doesn't even look like Colin Farrell.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And he did a phenomenal job.
Absolutely. The Mona Lisa thing that that doesn't apply to actors.
Correct.
I mean, the same people that's pissed off about Robert Downey Jr. are the ones that Iron Man, Tony Stark is the last movie that Robert Downey Jr. should ever act as because we can't see him as something else ever. So you're gonna let the man starve because you don't want him to be something else. That's his job to be is an actor.
Correct.
He's been in other great movies too.
Absolutely.
It's just,
right.
We just saw Kraven with Aaron Taylor Johnson. He played Quicksilver in Age of Ultron.
Mm-hmm. And the thing about that is, dude, he looks so much different.
Yeah.
I mean, the hair was different. When he played Quicksilver, his hair was lighter.
Yep.
He was a smaller guy. Now he's jacked, a more brooding, darker character.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think he did a very good job playing Kraven.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Moving on, the DCU, James Gunn has now taken over the DCU, so he's building out his own cinematic universe. The first thing he dropped was Creature Command. What the fuck's the name of it?
Creature Commandos.
Okay, you've seen this.
I've seen it.
You like it so far?
I like it.
3 episodes, I think.
Yes.
3. All right, I'm gonna get caught up. We'll talk about it next week.
All right.
That's the first piece to this DCU. So he's doing something different, where the animation and the live action will all be part of the same universe. So you'll see a character in animation, and then you'll see that same character in live action, probably played by the actor who voiced it. So something new, intriguing, right?
Yeah. Before you move on, so for those that are going to watch it, don't watch it with your kids. Okay. I'm just telling you.
It's a little adult.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of the rumors recently, and this has actually been confirmed, we talked about this a couple weeks back, there's a Clayface movie in the works. Yes, so Clayface movie is going to be a horror movie. Mike Flanagan is writing the screenplay. He wrote Midnight Mass and Doctor Sleep. Have you ever seen Doctor Sleep? Is like the sequel to The Shining. It's all right. It's a little wacky, but it's pure horror.
Never heard of it.
I say it came out, God, I don't know, probably 5 years ago or more.
Wait a minute, the Jack Nicholson Shining?
Yeah.
The Shining?
Yep.
Really?
Ian
And
McGregor
but it only
plays-
came out 5 years ago?
Something like that. I could be
that's
making that
weird.
up now. You definitely want to fact check our shit here, but it's older. It's from his. But Ian McGregor, who the Obi-Wan,
Yep.
he plays the kid from The Shining, Jack Nicholson's son.
Yeah.
The one that he's chased around with the fucking axe and stuff. He's now grown up. He's got PTSD from what happened here, and he's like being haunted at night and shit. So it's not a bad movie. But anyways, he wrote that. So this movie will be set in the DCU, not Matt Reeves' Batverse. The villain, and I don't know if you've got to this part yet, but he shows up in Creature Commandos, Clayface. So we're gonna see that same villain in a movie here. Now, here's the thing. They're going to make a horror movie in the $40 million range, so kind of lower budget, which I think is a good thing because then it forces you to make a good movie.
Yep, yeah.
Not just like film in this room and slap a bunch of CGI on it.
Right.
Now, Flanagan loves the Clayface episodes from Batman the Animated Series. You a Batman Animated Series guy?
Casually, yeah. I know a few.
I like the
I love
Clayface portrayal there.
Yeah, I love Clayface. Batman has some of the best villains in all of comics.
Oh,
absolutely.
With the best stories. So I could definitely get on board with something like that. No, so to clarify, Matt Reeves' Batman, this is a separate thing from
Yes.
the DC. Okay.
Yep.
Right. Okay.
And actually, I saw something recently where they initially discussed bringing that Batman into the DCU, and Matt Reeves is like, as my daughter says, chill down, bro. Chill down. We're not.
Okay.
You take your own fucking Batman.
Yeah,
Because
gotcha.
it's dark, dude. I don't think
Yeah,
that would fit.
yeah.
Just based off what we've seen so far with some of the Superman, it's bright, it's fun, it's James Gunn. It's cosmic. I'm not trying to see this dark, brooding Batman on screen with the Guardians of the Galaxy. So thank you, Matt Reeves. But what they said about this villain, there's a part I don't like. I'm looking for the exact words, but they kind of alluded to the fact that he would be portrayed as more of an anti-hero than a villain, which is just annoys the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Why do we always have to take the bad guys and make them kind of
Lovable.
Like that was one of the things that we loved about the Penguin.
Yeah.
Right.
Dude, at the end of that series, and throughout, there's no confusion. The Penguin's an asshole.
Yeah.
You're not going to be fucking rooting for him. You're not.
As a matter of fact, this Penguin is he's so much worse than I actually thought the Penguin would ever step to. As a matter of fact, I think if they come out with a real Joker, right, they're going to have to make the Joker so much, because the Joker is like psychopathic, psychotic, sinister kind of shit. They're going to have to make the next Joker worse. And I don't even know how they can do that.
Yeah.
Because the Penguin is just so bad. I mean, I don't mean like a bad movie. He's just so...
Yes.
God.
Yeah.
I mean...
It's nasty, dude.
It's nasty.
Yeah.
It's just bad, dude.
Yep.
They're going to have to make the Joker so much worse than
how
this
do you
guy.
top that?
Just to make him like the Joker. Because Joker is probably, undeniably, the worst villain Batman has ever had.
Yeah.
And the way they did this Colin Farrell Penguin, anyway.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Here's what he said. So he had Flanagan had an interview with Deadline recently. He said that Clayface is going to be a horror thriller tragedy. He won't be painted as a villain, which has been the case with his Legend in DC. And that's the part where I like, just let's make him a villain.
Yeah.
If everyone's a good guy, then what the hell do we need the heroes for?
You need bad guys.
You do.
You need bad guys, yeah.
And you can still have a really good movie and have a villain as your main character.
Yeah.
Every movie doesn't need to end with a warm, fuzzy feeling, dude.
Yeah.
Like, watch Beauty and the Beast if you want, something like.
Yeah.
But
We moved away from that a while ago. Like sometimes the bad guy should just be the bad guy, but it became this thing where you have to understand them. You have to feel bad for them.
Correct.
It's like, I don't think you always need to.
No.
They could just be bad people.
sometimes we just need a high evolutionary, dude. Who's
There you
just
go.
doing shit to just do it. Like, just to be an asshole. Like, that wakes up in the morning like, how can I be an asshole
Yeah,
today?
exactly.
We need more of those. Avengers Endgame star Haley Atwell is going to reprise her role as Agent Carter in Avengers Doomsday. So she's a character we talk about a lot of characters on this show. I don't think we've ever talked about her.
No.
Agent Carter. First of all, going back, you're a big Captain America fan of the MCU movies, right? How do you feel about the MCU trilogy?
The MCU trilogy, I like it a lot. I love the first one too.
Yes.
That one I've seen. That might be my most seen MCU movie.
Really?
Is the
First
first
Cap?
Captain America. Yeah, I think that one was a really good origin story.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I think as a movie and a story,
It's
it was
aged well, too.
yes, it has. Yeah.
Like, I think I like it more now than I did when it first came out.
Right.
You know?
I mean, if they were gonna, keep doing, the Martha duo, historical
You said
crap.
Martha.
They should do it the way they did Captain America's origin.
Yeah.
I mean, that was really done well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Agent Carter as a character?
Not really connecting with her early on.
Okay.
I mean, she's definitely came out per se. She's a very strong character.
Yeah.
A very she pretty much started Shield.
Yep.
She was back there when Captain America was born.
Mm-hmm.
She's had her own adventures, right?
Yep.
Clearly she had a sister who her sister's daughter is now an agent, right?
Right. Yep.
So I think very impactful character,
Yeah.
and one of those characters that not only can show up anywhere, but she can show up anywhere, like in time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for that too. And also multiverses, right?
Right.
Because she's showing up as, pretty much a female Captain America.
Captain Carter, yeah.
Right.
That's right, yeah.
So she's showing up in the future. She's showing up in the past.
Yeah.
So very, very dynamic character.
Yeah. And I think Haley Atwell, amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, at just portraying that. Like, she took that character and made her larger than life. Because it could have just been, a sideline.
one-off
Oh,
thing.
yeah, it's just
Right,
sad.
right.
Yeah. Steve Rogers,
Right.
love interest.
I mean, she had a whole series.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah. I've not. Have you seen it?
No.
No. I've not seen it, but it's got good reviews.
Yeah. It's worth taking a look in everything that we do.
Yeah.
I think that character is strong enough to where we can take a look at that and probably expand on. And I think that she's going to come up with some more stuff later on.
Yeah, yeah. Not only is Haley Atwell rumored to return, Chris Evans is set to return which is not a surprise, in Doomsday, Secret Wars 2. But now here's the question here. He's been rumored to show up as a different variant, like Captain Hydra instead of Captain America. We've also seen him as Johnny Storm recently again. Right. So he could show up as anyone. Now, would you prefer that he shows up as just another Captain America variant, or will that kind of tarnish the whole, him growing old in Endgame? Like, would you rather see him as Captain Hydra?
I'd rather not see him at all.
Okay.
But if he does show up as a variant,
yeah.
Because to me it's like you killed off Tony Stark.
Mm-hmm.
Why bring him back? Now that's different than killing off than T'Challa.
Yes.
You had an actor who actually died,
right?
And you chose to not recast him.
Yeah,
that's different than you killing off Tony Stark, Iron Man,
sure.
Right? And then you aging out Captain America. The only reason that you did that is because the actor, you wrote that in, and then the actor agreed. So, if you decided to, put your chef apron down, stay the fuck out the kitchen, right?
There you go.
Don't keep popping in and out. So I would rather see him as a variant,
okay,
or just not at all.
Got it.
And also, I've seen him in like a recent show where he wasn't playing; he was just a character. I think he's in Red 1.
Okay.
Is the Red 1?
Oh yeah, the Santa Claus.
The
Rock in the
yeah. So I saw him in that, and he looks, like frail.
Yeah.
So whatever he's gonna do, he's got some work cut out for him.
Dude, if there's a bad movie to be made, The Rock is like, yo, get me in that motherfucker. Like, The Rock does not know how to say no.
No, he's But you know what? They're never bad because of him.
No,
you know what I mean. But they are bad.
It's like, bro, you didn't read the script.
Yeah,
like,
no, I think he just says yes to everything. It's just like,
yeah,
which I respect it. Whatever.
Hey, you gotta get paid, right? Yeah,
absolutely.
Shit. What about you, Chris? Would you prefer him come back as Cap, a variant, or not at all?
I think he could come back as Cap.
Okay.
I think there's when they did the whole time travel thing and then they aged him out, there's a large chunk of time where he's just kind of hanging out for.
Yeah.
I would like to see him do something different though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Do a different variant,
Right.
Because we already established the multiverse kind of thing. So let's follow up on that. I think that could work really well.
Like, I'm all about seeing him back. I'm not, it's lazy. No, I mean, shit, dude. You started this unit, like, Secret Wars is rumored to be a massive reboot for the MCU. Yeah. You started this whole cinematic universe with these guys. Mm-hmm. Why not bring them back for the send-off?
Yeah.
They're alive, you know what I mean?
I just don't want him to be like a background character, I would say.
Yeah,
if you're going to bring him back, make it worthwhile. You know what I mean? Like, I don't just a kind of a side thing and then it's done. Like, you got to kind of do it right.
Wait a minute. So, in that vein, like you guys are talking about this, so we're talking about Secret Wars because Secret Wars is kind of like the DC's version of the Infinity War, right? So you got a bunch of universes colliding to make one universe. So I will agree to bring Chris Evans back as Captain America. If we can just erase this Captain Falcon bullshit. That would be great.
That would be great. The other rumor about Steve Rogers, Chris Evans, is he's going to return as Nomad. So you familiar with Nomad at all?
I've heard it, but I'm not that familiar with it.
I'm not. I looked into it recently this weekend, and there was a time, it wasn't even that long. It may have been a few months in the comics where Steve gave up the Captain America character because he had some issues with the president at the time, right? We always see him having political issues, this, that. And he showed up as Nomad. It was just a whole different, take on, or a whole different costume, a whole different character. I've not done a deep dive into it, so I'd be cool with that too, just because, it would be Chris Evans, it'd be cool, but him coming back is just like, hey, the Cap from, the MCU, I'm like, we saw you grow old. I know we can pull him out of a timeline, but I think this would be cool. Yeah. Also think the problem, for Marvel is if you bring him back as just Captain America, it's going to overshadow Captain Falcon even more, right?
Right. And also, you would have to come up with an origin story for Nomad. Yeah. You got to explain how he became that, and I think that would take so much away from. And he's not Captain America. People don't really know who Nomad is.
Right.
So you got to spend so much time explaining this person, and that it's the same. Steve Rogers. I think is going to be complex. What are you going to say, Chris?
I do like the concept of you take this character who's so ingrained with his country and remove his country. Where does that lead him? I like that. I think you're right. I don't think that could be like a secondary story. I think that has to be its own thing and establish what that is, who that is. I think it could work if it was its own thing, but as a part of this, probably not.
Right. And we saw, I think the closest thing we've seen to that was in Infinity War when Cap was kind of like a fugitive. And, he had the star kind of blacked out. He wasn't wearing the helmet. Because even at that time, I remember in the trailer, people online, he's going to be Nomad in this movie. So I think we saw, like, they kind of flirted with the idea. Yeah. So, hey, if they want to go full Nomad, bring him back, I'm down with that. Moving on, Superman Legacy. You heard much about this movie?
I have not heard much about it. So I've heard that they're doing something with Superman.
Yep.
I get kind of excited.
They got David Cornsweet, who is basically Henry Cavill's son. He looks a lot like, which makes sense. I mean, Cavill looked the part, right? It does look very different from the Snyderverse Superman, which I like because Superman was way too dark in that for me.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
I mean, it's like you can't tell, like his suit, like, bro, you steal this from Batman's closet? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Right.
You couldn't tell the difference between Metropolis and Gotham.
Right.
I love in the comic, we talk about this a bunch. Gotham is, dark, just gloomy.
Yeah.
And then it'd be the same day, bro. You bounce over to Metropolis and, bro, sun, blue skies, everybody's smiling.
Yeah, I love the contrast that they play with.
Glass, shiny buildings.
Had Lucius make a suit for Superman.
Yeah, absolutely. So James Gunn has been talking about this Superman movie for a lot. He's been talking, and then he's been talking. He's been talking about putting out a trailer. He's been talking about why the trailer's not out, but he hasn't put the damn trailer out yet. Yeah. So this latest rumor says trailer's debuting next week, Adrian.
Yeah, along with the Fantastic Four one.
Yeah, where's that one, by the way? Which was released at a Comic-Con. They just don't want to show us yet. So, but this Superman trailer, rumored to focus more. Basically, Superman is not going to be the main feature of this trailer. They're saying that the big focus will be his dog, Krypto. So we saw one picture released recently with Superman and Krypto sitting on the moon, looking at the Earth. So this is going to be a lot bigger than a lot of the Superman movies we've seen in the past. The DCU is a universe that will already be lived in. So like, the MCU, they built it piece by piece, right?
Yep.
Like when Iron Man debuted, there was nothing that we saw in that movie that would lead us to believe there was knowledge of other supers, right? Yeah. This is going to be, we're dropped into this world.
That's the right way for them to do that.
Yeah.
That is the right way for them. Don't spend time trying to build it piece by I agree with that.
Right. Yeah, I like that. But how do you feel about Krypto the dog? Now, it's just a trailer, but that means it's going to be a big part of this movie. How do you feel about Krypto the dog, Adrian?
Man, it's bad. I'm not even going to go down this whole animal thing.
Okay.
But who asked for this? Right? I mean, well, you asked me for my opinion.
Yeah.
I didn't ask for this.
Right.
I don't give a damn about crypto. I don't want to. So now we got to explain how crypto escaped in Exploding Planet, along with his cousin that escaped, along with a whole city in a bottle, along with it's just so much. Another origin story about a dog.
Well, it sounds like there's no origin. They're skipping the origin. Dog's just there. So we're dealing with a superpowered dog. But it is funny. You bring up a whole nother point, how, like, initially it was just Superman that escaped the planet.
Yeah.
Then, like, every, 10 years we find out,
piece of Krypton just floated
his
on over
cousin
here.
and the dog and this and that.
And then if it's not from Krypton, it's what's the guy that played in Supergirl? It's a neighboring planet.
Oh, yeah.
Right, and they have superpowers too. Not quite Kryptonian powers, but enough. It's like
They're all in the same neighborhood.
Yeah.
Everyone from the same zip code of Krypton made its way over.
Right. It's like they knew it was coming or something. They were prepped. They evacuated like it was a hurricane.
Listen, the whole dog thing, whatever, dude. I mean, we don't know any of these characters. We don't know
Right.
Ball Sweat. We don't know what he's going to end up doing as Superman. Yeah, I just think, if the focus is going to be the dog, why don't you just make a movie about the dog?
Right.
Let's not have a Echo movie where the movie is about Kingpin.
Yeah.
Let's not have a Superman where the movie is about the dog, right?
Right.
Pair it with Batman's dog, his Rottweiler, whatever the hell he's going to have, and make that kind of a movie. Don't make this. I don't want to go see a crypto movie.
Right.
I mean, a Krypton movie.
Oh, let's hope it's just the trailer. That's the main focus. I just hope they don't spoil the whole movie in the trailer. Now, I suggested this last week. Instead of spending all this time putting together this crafty trailer to try to, bait us in, just give us a small snippet of the movie. Like, I don't know if I would have ran out to see Kraven last week if I didn't watch those first 8 minutes.
Right.
Now I would say the first 8 minutes was probably better than the rest of the movie, but hey, we'll get into that. But give me a little sample size, dude. Give me the first 2 minutes. Something.
How about everybody just shut up and just drop the trailer, drop the movie?
Right,
How about we do that?
Yeah,
all
stop
these
hyping
little
it up.
nuances.
Yeah.
Is the Mole Man going to be in the movie?
You've seen Air Bud. Now get ready for Krypton.
Exactly. It's like dumb shit, dude. Just drop the trailer, drop the movie. Let's keep this train moving.
Speaking of drop the movie, more Avengers Doomsday news. So obviously Dr. Doom is going to be the main focus of this movie. They're building him up to be the next Thanos, right? And what they've said so far, this is these inside sources, you know how they are.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange is 60% the reason the Secret Wars is even happening. Which makes sense. We saw in Doctor Strange 2, there's incursions happening.
Right.
So that's kind of what leads to Secret Wars. There's these incursions, these two, universes colliding. One of them has to go type shit, right? But it sounds like because of what Doctor Strange was doing, he did a lot in that movie. What he did, traveled into a dead version of himself, all kinds of, multiversal no-nos, I guess. So 60% of this is his fault. They also said that Dr. Doom, they said to erase everything you think you know about Dr. Doom. Doom is a massive villain in the comics and the media, but they're going to give him the Thanos treatment. He will be presented as the antagonist to the Avengers, but Doom has a point in what he's doing, so much it'll make you question whether Doom is the villain or is he actually the hero. Now, I'm not being a hypocrite. I could be. My hypocrisy knows no bounds, Chris, because you just talked about how villains shouldn't be heroes, right? I would never say Thanos was the hero.
Yeah, no.
But I would say that you could understand why he thought he was right.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean he was right, but you can understand why he thought he was right.
Right.
And it to me, when they say Thanos treatment, that's what I see for Doom.
Sure.
Because we saw this rumor before that, Doom, one of the rumors was that he was going to be traveling to different universes to kill the Molecule Man from that universe because Molecule Man was the power source for Secret Wars in the first place. So he's doing things that he thinks is going to prevent these incursions and save his own universe. So I guess for his universe, he'd be the hero. It's like, I'm going to come blow up your house and your house so that my house is okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Everyone in your house is not going to be happy with me.
Deterrent.
My house is like, yeah, go get it, you know. So I like this, hearing this. And Doom, I think, is a perfect character to fill that Thanos void. We talked about that a bunch here.
Absolutely.
You a big Doom guy?
I'm not, but he has that one quote that I love in the comic. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it's basically like, he created this utopia, and he's like, it took one guy, one guy who would be terrible. He's like, take no shit, and I can do this, and it was him.
Yeah.
And he's like, I can assume that role. So I loved that quote because it was like that you understood why he thought what he was doing was right.
Yeah.
So I could see that working.
And I know you're a big Doom guy.
Oh, dude. I mean, when he so there was this one scene in the comics where these mercenaries was waiting on Doom to show up, right?
Yeah.
And he shows up riding a polar bear, dude. And that whole frame was just like, that's Doom.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, his thing is that he's not like a Joker evil, or
Right.
I mean, even Galactus wouldn't be considered evil. He has a purpose, and while Galactus is more of a kind of a natural purpose, Doom is a self-appointed purpose. And his thing is this: he's going to create his kingdom. He's going to protect his people. And he's self-appointed himself to protect Earth and its citizens, and he'll do anything it takes in order to do that. Now, along the way, he'll steal from you. He'll attack Galactus, try to get his power.
Right.
He'll attack Scarlet Witch and try to get her magic, because he has a lot of magic upbringing as well. His technology, Doom is like a trifecta. He's smart, right? Which he has technology, and he does the magic thing. So between those three things, and he's always seeking more and more and more of that triangle. So, and he'll do that in order to keep protecting what he holds dear, and he'll go against anybody at any time to do that. He'll go against an evil, but he'll also go against the Fantastic Four. So he's like I said, a self-appointed force to be reckoned with, but he is a force. And I think he's awesome.
Speaking of a force, so go to the laptop shot real quick, Adrian. This is in Secret Wars. So that's Thanos.
Right.
Did he hit some? Look what happens next. So now this is God Emperor Doom. So this is him being powered by Molecule Man. But dude, straight up just soul snatches Thanos. So you're talking about from a powerful dude. Like, now I hope that we get to see God Emperor Doom in Secret Wars. It would make sense. Right?
Well, whether we see God Emperor Doom or not, I just want to see him soul snatch Scott.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Scott comes out, the old boy Scott, like he's got this. So at one point, Scott gets this amped up power, right?
The Phoenix power.
The Phoenix Force.
Yeah.
And he thinks he's the shit, and Doom just goes and does that.
Same shit.
To Scott.
It's like nothing, dude. So God Emperor Doom is up there. Last piece of news: the Penguin star Cristin Milioti is she's been nominated for a Golden Globe Award for her performance as Sophia Falcone.
Nice.
So there's another reason for you to go watch it, dude. It's a Golden Globe nominated show now. Her nominations for Best Performance by an Actress in a Limited Series. And I just wanted to bring this up because we love Sophia Falcone.
Absolutely.
We love Cristin Milioti as Sophia Falcone. Great show, great performance, and it also kind of validates things that you've said here before, where these comic book movies, these comic book shows are getting to the point where they're no longer looked at as comic book shows, comic book movie. They're just movies and shows.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
as they should be treated.
As they should be.
Absolutely.
You're right.
I mean, I think there's too many that have not won awards in the past just because of that. It's like hip hop at the Grammys back in the day.
Right.
They're like, we're not gonna give them any awards. And then they would give them out on the pre-show. Like, you ain't invited to the show, Chris. We'll send your fucking award in the mail.
Yeah.
But we'll roll at the bottom of the screen before it starts. Your name will flash by real quick.
Right.
Now they dominate the Grammy, So I think this is great, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the rumor is that she will show back up in the Batman 2 and have a big presence there. So I can't wait to see that.
You know what's interesting? As you're saying that, I'm thinking this. If they can produce these shows like The Penguin, maybe it's on purpose, right?
Yeah.
Because if you can produce a show without a comic book character presence, like meaning the costume, because the Penguin is a comic book character, but he's portrayed as like like a mobster, right? In this show, there is no costumes at all.
Right.
But now these Grammys are coming, and probably I'm sure there's going to be other awards, probably makeup, and they haven't even touched like Colin Farrell, his portrayal as the Penguin.
Right.
So this is almost like intentional, if it is not intentional, that they're producing these movies without the costumes, just so they can blur that line between what's a comic book movie and a regular movie. So I think that's cool.
Absolutely. You know what else is cool? We like to wrap up comic news and rumors with a little thumbs up, thumbs down, Chris. We are very rule fluid here. We don't have a lot of rules on Only Comics.
Yeah, all right.
So we're going to recap the news, and you just let us know if you give it a thumbs up or down, dude. You know?
Well, kind of a correction. We have plenty of rules. We just break them.
Yeah.
It happens, dude. What are you going to
Sure.
do? So, recapping. Number one, Kraven the Hunter. So, Sony says the reason we've never seen Spider-Man in all these Spider-Man movies is we're too stupid. We would be confused at why the MCU Spider-Man's showing up in Sony movies. Thumbs down.
Definitely thumbs down.
Yep.
Chris?
Thumbs
I'll
down.
give it a thumbs down.
Yeah.
We've also heard from Ariana DeBose, who was in Kraven the Hunter, played Calypso. She says she wants to see Spider-Man have his epic showdown with Kraven the Hunter. I couldn't agree more. I give that a thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Yep. Thumbs up.
Ryan Reynolds is talking about Avengers Secret Wars and Deadpool's, I guess, participation in that movie. So far, nothing's been confirmed. But Ryan kind of says that, Deadpool should not be the focus. He'd be a great supporting character or part of an ensemble. I couldn't agree more.
Right.
Ryan, thumbs up.
Yep.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Batman villain Clayface movie has been confirmed. It's in the works. Will be released in 2026. Clayface will be treated somewhat as not a villain. They're going to make us feel bad for Clayface and make him a hero. So it's hard because, I want to see Clayface. It's cool. But the fact that it sounds like they're going to give him the Sony treatment, I give it a thumbs down.
So about that. So as you were talking about the Clayface, and the key word for me was horror. Because before I was like, who wants to see Clayface in a movie, right?
Yep.
But I actually think, considering what they've done with the Penguin, right? I actually think that a Clayface horror movie would probably be pretty cool.
Okay.
If they did it right. So, thumbs down about the movie, but thumbs up about I'm changing my mind about the Clayface even showing up as a movie.
Okay.
Chris?
I'm gonna give that a good thumbs up.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it. I think it could be good if they portray him as maybe by anti-hero they mean he starts out good and then this breaks him down, blah blah blah, and you see him become.
I'd be okay with that.
I become this thing.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see a live action take on that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We haven't seen him in a movie, so I'm pretty stoked to see that.
Cool.
You have it. Avengers Doomsday rumor. Haley Atwell will return as Agent Carter. Also, Chris Evans will return as someone. Maybe Johnny Storm, maybe Captain America, maybe Nomad. I give this 2 thumbs up. I'd love to see them both back in the fold.
1 up, 1 down.
Okay.
I'll give it a thumbs up on both.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Superman trailer reportedly to debut next week. So maybe by the time you're watching this, we might have seen it. But the rumor is Superman will not be the focus of the trailer, at least. It's going to be his dog, Crypto, man's best friend. I give it a thumbs up because they're finally getting a trailer, dude. I'm down with this.
Right. 1 up, 1 down.
Okay.
up because it's finally coming out.
Yep.
Down because I don't want to see no dog.
I'll
Okay.
give a thumbs up for this one, and then a thumbs up for hopefully Superman's goldfish in the next trailer.
Yo, how did the goldfish get off of Krypton?
Yeah, well, you'll have to watch to find out.
Next up, Penguin star Cristin Milioti received a Golden Globe nomination for her role as Sophia Falcone. I give this a thumbs up.
Definitely thumbs up.
Thumbs up. I gotta watch that.
Yeah.
Gotta watch that. I'm excited. Yeah.
See, that's the thing. We're rule fluid. He hasn't even watched it,
Yeah.
but you can comment on it. Who gives a
Sure,
shit, right?
right?
Who
Yeah,
cares,
well, because I hear it's good and there's good reception.
There you go.
So
That's all we need, dude. That's all we need.
Sure.
Well, that is thumbs up, thumbs down. Like this, share this. Let us know if you agree with us or if you don't. If you don't, I'm going to be really upset. Probably not. I'm not really.
Definitely not.
No, definitely not. So we have a segment on here called Hit or Miss Cast, Chris. So this is where I throw out 5 casting choices from movies that have already been released. Sometimes people chime in, what about this guy? I'm like, dude, that movie is like coming out. He's rumored to be in a movie. I can't tell you if it's a hit or miss.
Right.
And Adrian, now we got 2, so both of y'all are going to let me know. if this casting choice was a hit or a miss. Now, some of them you've not seen, Chris, so we'll figure it out as we go.
Okay. There we go.
Like the first one, Kraven the Hunter. Aaron Taylor Johnson is Kraven the Hunter.
Hit.
I agree. This one I've not seen, so I'm gonna rely on both of you. Jared Leto as Morbius.
Oh.
I would say this. Considering there has not been, I would say a hit.
Okay.
Because there has not been a. I also liked him as the Joker.
I'll give you this one.
I thought my jokes were bad.
Considering there has not been another Morbius,
yeah.
He's been the only one that has portrayed Morbius.
Point. Okay.
I would say a hit because he did look the part.
All right.
I'll take him as Morbius if I never have to see him as the Joker again. I'll accept that.
Okay.
The Joker was Jared, if you're listening, you did a bad one on that.
Yes.
I'll be honest with you.
It wasn't his fault.
Oh man.
He showed up for a job.
I'll give you that.
But
Okay.
so that's why I think he actually did I say a hit.
He played the cards he got.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was. I will agree. It was a very poorly written version of the Joker.
Yeah.
I thought his Joker voice was good,
Yeah.
but everything else.
Just don't do it again.
I love the people like, well, in that end scene of Snydercut, it's so good. Like, dude, really, a shitty CGI version of him looking all frail with long hair and talking about giving Batman a reach around. Like, that's what you love? No Diddy. Anyways, next up, Dakota Johnson as Cassandra Webb in the beloved Madam Web film.
I would say a miss.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah, probably a miss. I won't. Same as you. I won't blame her for that movie being bad.
Right.
No.
I won't blame her for that movie being bad.
But I also think that they chose her because of her popularity in a completely different type of movie,
Right.
which was a miss.
Yeah, there you go. Russell Crowe as Nikolai Kravinoff.
Miss.
You didn't like him?
Nah.
Wow.
It's a stretch.
Yeah.
I mean, because, and I think probably this is what people see with Robert Downey Jr., right? When I look at Russell Crowe, I see Gladiator gone bad,
Really?
right? And him playing this Russian father. Now, the Russian father, it's hard with that dude.
Okay.
I would say, all right, I would say a hit because he did do a overbearing father figure, definitely. But for some reason, that could have been anybody.
Okay.
I don't think they needed to bring in a Russell Crowe to play that role. I think that was kind of
I
like
see
a
what you're saying,
step down for him. I think that's what I'm having.
Almost a waste of having him. Okay.
Yeah.
I gotcha. I liked him, dude. I did. I thought his Russian accent was good.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not Russian, so people said maybe it was so bad. Maybe I believe you. But from someone who is not Russian, I thought it was on point. Now, Russell Crowe as Jor-El. He played Superman's dad.
No.
No, you don't like that.
I thought that fit well. I might just be a Russell Crowe fan.
Yeah,
'Cause I
you
love
like-
him and everything, but I do think Jor-El fit
Okay.
well.
Oh, there you have it. And see, the thing about Only Comments, Chris, we're an educational program.
Yeah.
Because we saw that. No, we all don't agree here. Chris is not storming out and going, fuck you, Adrian, or, we're just like, whatever, dude.
Wait till I take to my Twitter account.
Yeah. These guys know nothing. I love that's my favorite one when they don't agree. These guys know nothing about comics. Like, oh my God, because we don't have the same opinion as you. Oh my God.
Every now and then when I'm on, I do read the comments, guys. I do see it.
Oh, we respond coming up in a little bit, Chris. I know you're a big fan of that. So that's hit or miss cast. You guys let us know where you fall on that. Moving on. This is Adrian's favorite name segment. It's back this week. We took a little break from this. We've been busy with other stuff. This is called What the Fuck Rotten Tomatoes.
Language.
This is where we go, and it's all Sony bad Marvel movie themed. Okay.
Nice.
Yes. So we have 6 this week. I normally limit to 5, but I figured why not add them all in here. So this is where we where we have these loose rules. Okay. Rotten Tomatoes. Are you familiar with how fucked up they gather their scores?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do they gather this?
So
I don't know
they have people that source critic reviews, right? So they go online, they read a bunch of reviews. A few individuals are picking which ones they include. They gather a certain amount. Let's say they gather 100 reviews. If 50 of them are positive reviews, the movie's 50% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's very accurate, obviously.
Yeah,
it's great.
Sounds like it.
No room for bias at all, right? Like, no way when just a handful of internet guys are picking reviews.
Oh, yeah. Journalism's doing well.
Yeah, so what we do here, this segment also has a nickname, Critics versus Audience. So there's a critic score, which is determined the way we just talked about. Then there's an audience score, which is based off of people that have seen the movies. And now you have to actually provide your ticket when you, in the past, you could just go on and review it. So we had people never saw a movie and like, this movie sucks.
Yeah.
So now you have to prove that you've at least bought a ticket.
I like that.
Yes.
I like that.
And I think the Rotten Tomato score should be like an average of the sourced versus the regular person.
Right.
Because if you're sourced, it's like you take a mortician and put a body in front of him, he's just going to get down with what he or she knows how to do. Mm-hmm. You take the average person off the street and see a body, they're going to be puking and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So the mortician is the sourced review. They're going to be biased regardless. They're going to go in with no feelings, no emotions, no nothing, and they're going to give this review, and then that's what Rotten Tomatoes is. The average person, they're going to give this stuff based off probably like emotion or that limited or expanded knowledge of these characters and stuff. And I think those two should be mashed up, and then that should be the average at the very least, not just the critics.
Yep. So, this is what we have to deal with. It's what we have at our disposal.
That's what we got.
So we play a little game of critics versus audience. I throw out both scores, and a lot of times, or certain movies, there's a great disparity between the scores. Now, we have to decide if we had to pick one of these scores, which one would we lean towards, right? Okay. So, number one, Kraven the Hunter. So I think this is the only one on here you've not seen, Chris, or maybe this and Venom 3. So Kraven the Hunter. Critics gave it a 15%.
Damn.
Audience gave it a 72%.
I'm going with the audience.
Yeah, I think so, too.
And the thing, Chris, is that it's not you have to go with what is more toward what you're feeling.
Yeah.
So it might not be a 72 for you. It might be a 50, but it's not a 15.
Yeah. Right.
15 sounds crazy.
It's bad. Yeah.
That's like you didn't finish the movie.
Right. Well, you know what? Speaking of, next on the list, the beloved Madam Web. Critics gave it an 11%. Mm-hmm. I think that's a little high.
And might be a little high.
Yeah. And then the audience gave it a 55. I'm going critics, dude. 11%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. They shouldn't have finished that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the critics on this one.
Like, dude, that might be the worst comic book movie ever created.
It might be, and I have seen Morbius, so
you can confirm.
No, I don't think. I think Morbius was better. So I'm
was better or worse?
I think it's better, only because there's an actual action element to it.
Yeah, so Madam Web could be at the very bottom. I mean, you talking like the Fantastic Four with Michael B. Jordan level. You're talking Thor 2. Like, I'd watch Thor 2 over Madam Web any fucking day of the week, dude.
Dude, I mean, if you're saying ever, I mean, are you talking movies or shows?
Just movies.
Just movies? I was going to say, because, I mean, I'm thinking it's probably even worse than some of those 1960 Batman and Robin flicks.
Adam West?
Where they turn the camera sideways.
Don't let the secrets out, Adrian. They're climbing buildings. Yeah. I would say Adam West Batman's better than
definitely.
The other ones that come to mind, Batman and Robin, I think is better than Madam Web.
Batman, right?
With
George
Clooney and Chris, what is his face?
Yep.
Who's now on like one of these FBI shows.
Yep. We have a segment later called The Greeter. We'll save that for that. We'll save a little Batman and Robin versus Madam Web, the beloved Madam Web. You have to call it the beloved.
Beloved.
Rule. Yeah, it's very beloved.
Is it beloved or beloved?
It's both.
Okay. There you go. Yes.
Yes. There you go. Next up, I've not seen this, so I'll leave this up to you two. Morbius, critics gave it a 15%. Audience gave it a 71%.
I would go toward the critics. It's definitely not a 71.
Right.
Chris?
Okay. Yeah, it's definitely not a 71. I wouldn't give it a 15.
Yeah.
Right.
But definitely closer to the critics. It just wasn't good. There's not, there's not much that happens, guys.
If you had to give it a score out of 100, what would it be?
I'd probably give it like a 30.
Okay.
Yeah.
A little below average. If 5 is your average, I'd give it a 30. It's like, all right, you made it. It's there.
Okay.
But The ending still cracks me up where they set it up for a sequel and everything. It gets me.
Just no.
Like, bro, you should have known you ain't getting no sequel,
yeah.
dude.
What do you? It's like, how do you think you did?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like a self-assessment at work and shit. Like, you tell me how you did this year.
You know how you're doing.
Right. It's like when you ask the question, when you call somebody in, right? And it's like, am I in trouble?
Yeah.
Well, you know you're in trouble, dude.
right. So, sequel, no. Speaking of 30, Venom 1. Critics gave it a 30%. Audience gave it an 80%.
Definitely not. Critics. I'm going with the critics.
You going with the critics? I would lean towards the audience on Venom 1.
I think I would, because it was fun. Venom 1 was fun.
Yeah.
Now it wasn't a competent movie in every
let's not get crazy.
Yeah, you could feel where they cut stuff out and it was rushed, but it was fun to watch.
Yeah.
I would give it a passing. I would put it on the order of like the what's the show that I like that it's kind of the Peacemaker.
Okay.
I would put it on that level, the Peacemaker. So I would give it a marginally passing score.
Yeah.
But definitely not. What was it? 80 or
80? Yeah. No, it's definitely high, but I would
That's
have
high.
to lean. To me, it's closer. As the rules, I'm following the rules here, Adrian. I think it's closer to the 80 than it is 30. I'd probably give this movie a 60. Maybe.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like a
Yeah.
60.
Yeah. My favorite part about it is still when Venom's going off about how much he hates humans, and the very next scene, he's like, "I love humans. I'm going to save all of them." And it's just like, where did this go?
Yep. Well, the silliness got there was a little more tomfoolery in the second one.
Yeah.
So this is the movie with the DJ scene, I believe.
I haven't seen.
Or was that the first one? I can't remember. One movie he was DJing in. So you haven't seen the second one?
No, I just know that it had Carnage.
You could say that it kind of had Carnage in it. It was just so wasted too. Like Woody Harrelson, you would expect. Now this is I do blame him on this. I think his take was fucking wild.
Yeah,
it was a little much. But Venom 2, critics standpoint, they gave it a 58, and the audience 84. So I'm leaning towards critics all day.
Critics.
Now you've not seen Venom 3
I
yet.
have not seen. No. Yeah.
Okay, so you haven't seen 2 or 3.
Yeah.
So you've only watched. I think Venom 1 is the best of the 3.
Mm-hmm.
Venom 3, critics gave it a 41, audience gave it an 81. I'll lean towards the critics.
Critics.
Yeah. Dude, I mean, all in all, this is one shitty fucking, dude, miss after miss after miss. What are y'all doing?
It's almost like, let's not put Spider-Man in next to him.
Yeah, right?
At least this version of him,
If this was like a job review, you would be fired.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Every year after year, you're shooting low.
Bro, what did you do here? Everything I give you, you screw
Who
up.
hired you?
Dude, now you're just taking out the trash, and you messed that up, dude. You're putting the recycle in the trash and vice versa, but you're doing too much. You're doing you got to bring old Lassie out behind the shed, Adrian, and just put her down,
dude. Take care of it.
Absolutely. It's like
in this day and age, take him to the vet and let him be, disposed of.
That too.
With,
I like
with
the I Am Legend one. You just choke him out.
Right.
I'm just kidding.
You don't want him hooked up to a heart monitor with the drip and all that kind of stuff.
No.
And then give him a doggy funeral.
The dog's on life support. No, I definitely don't want to go down that route.
We're gonna get some shit for this last
we're just
15
joking.
seconds.
It's geez. God.
My God, read the room.
Seriously. All right. Well, that is What the Fuck Rotten Tomatoes or Critics versus Audience. But as a whole, dude, I'm surprised they got. This is 6 movies. I'm not missing any from this amazing universe. They got 6 movies deep, and none of them. I think Kraven the Hunter is probably the best of. You've not seen this yet, but you would say Venom 1 probably of the ones you've seen.
Yeah.
And even those are still below average.
I count Venom 1 as an attempt. I don't count it as I don't think they nailed it, but I think if you're trying, all right, I give it to you.
There you go. Yeah, you almost got it done.
Yeah.
Not really. But that being said, I do agree with, I think you said this earlier, any of these characters, maybe with the exception of Madam Web, I wouldn't mind seeing show up in the MCU opposite of Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Or hey, Andrew, whatever, somebody.
Yeah.
But these characters, they're good enough to interact with Spider-Man. Right. Movies, sure, because a lot of times, or normally, you just see the villain in the main movie. You never really get their origin story.
Yeah.
So the fact that they're established, most of these movies people have seen. I know Madam Web, I think 4 people saw. Even Kraven the Hunter, the numbers are really, I think they did like 2 million, dude. 2 million in a couple of days.
Yeah.
We're normally like we're talking 50, 100 million.
Yeah.
2 million.
When I bought the tickets, the first show was sold out.
Really?
Right. And then when I went in, so first of all, when you go into a show, you know, if you don't understand a movie theater, right? The time that it says it's going to start is when the advertisement starts.
Right.
Yeah.
I usually leave my house at the time that they say the show is going to start.
Yeah.
So if they say 11:30, I leave my house at 11:30 because there's 20 to 30 minutes of advertising and previews, right?
My biggest problem.
So normally by the time right before the show starts, the theater has people in it.
Right.
If it's not completely full, there's people in it. So I get there, nobody's there. Like nobody. People start trickling in, and I think it was 10 people in the entire theater, and one of them was asleep. How did I know he was asleep? Because he snored through the entire movie.
Damn.
So I don't know what happened with the first showing, but the second one was like pretty much empty, so I can see 2 million. That sucks though.
Well, actually, this is a good segue. We're gonna jump into our Kraven the Hunter review. I wouldn't call it a huge deep dive, because we got an action pack. So we want to get to Court of Owls later.
Yeah.
We also want to let you know who Chris is. You know, like it's just they're
Who is this guy?
I don't even know who you are.
No.
There's gonna be that comment. There's always that comment.
Yeah, who's the third guy? Yeah, like,
Why is he even here?
one guy. It's funny when they comment and like they don't normally watch our shit. Right. Someone was like, "Why do you keep interviewing the same guy every week?" I'm like, bro, like, what do you mean, bro? I was like, we've been doing this show together for a year and a half. I'm not interviewing him, but you can't make sense of nonsense. But jumping into Kraven the Hunter. So, actually, I stand corrected. I just pulled it up. The 3-day domestic gross is going to end up right between around 12 million. Okay. Which is the worst of every movie in this somewhat disconnected franchise. Madam Web actually beat this with 15.3 million.
So let me ask you this. So Sony is required to make a Spider-Man-esque movie.
Yep.
Right.
Like every 2 or 3 years or something.
Isn't saving also making money?
Yeah.
Right. If you don't spend the money,
right,
you're making money.
Correct.
Right? So how about you just default on making these movies because they're shitty, right?
Right.
And just turn the rights back over to the people that know how to make the movie. Yep. Just stop. Just stop.
Just sell them.
You're watering down the characters that can be decent or good characters, right?
Yeah.
And you're not showing up the beloved Spider-Man right, in all these things. And you just that's confusing.
Correct.
So just stop. Default. Move all the rights back over to where they belong.
Yeah.
Keep it in the house, and then let them move forward making the movies, dude.
Yeah, I'm definitely down with the rights going back to where they belong.
I mean, the world has changed so much since when they bought the rights.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Yep.
And what was that crazy story? They bought some parts of...
Oh, dude, we were talking about this. I forget the dollar amount, but when Sony bought the Spider-Man rights, they had the option to buy all of the Marvel rights for like pennies, dude.
Yeah.
And they're like, we don't need those other characters. We'll just take Spider-Man, not use him. Well, actually, they made Spider-Man movies back then. But they had the opportunity. So it's like, thank God they didn't. Because could you imagine them screwing up Captain America, Iron Man, X-Men? Yeah. Oh, my God, dude.
Right.
So Madam Web, this is...
Well, they probably had their hand up somebody's ass while they made X-Men. But I'm just... the other ones?
Yeah.
Pretty good.
There you go. Madam Web dropped earlier this year. The box off or the budget for this movie was right around 100 million, 80 to 100 million. This movie did 15 million first weekend, which we've talked about. Kraven will do less than that. The movie Madam Web finished its box office run at just over 100 million. So the budget was 100. They didn't even break even because when you add in advertising and all that, so that thing lost ridiculous amounts of money. And Kraven's going to do even worse, which is insane. But speaking of Kraven, so. Let's just, right off the top, if you gave this movie a score, Adrian, out of 10, what would you say?
Out of 10?
Yep.
I would go with a 7.
7? Okay. Yeah. I'd say a 6. This movie budget 110 to 130, so they're going to be even worse than Madam Web. Because I don't
Without the marketing?
Yeah, it's just straight up movie budget.
Wow.
Yep, and they grossed $12 million this weekend, so. Keep up that pace.
This is not the economy to do that, guys.
Yeah, exactly. But this movie, dude, let me give now full transparency. The Kraven the Hunter account reached out to us last week, right? This is how you know I'm not biased, Adrian, because they liked one of our videos. Like, can we use this in our promo? I'm like, sure, but you don't know who you're messing with, because I am not going to say nice things just because you helped, you promoted our video.
Now, that's not to say that he's not going to say nice things.
Right.
But he's not going to say nice things just because.
I'm going to be honest, okay?
Right.
So it was not a bad movie. I do think it's probably the best of these shitty Sony movies, right? But that being said, you compare this to like the MCU, it doesn't even come close to most movies.
Right.
But my biggest issue with this movie, it felt like it never got out of second gear.
Right.
The opening I thought was great. I also think the 8 minutes that they released, like, so did you watch them prior or no?
No.
So that section when he goes into the prison, kills the guy, right up until the opening credit.
Yep.
That's what they released.
Okay.
On. So I felt like tone-wise, that didn't match the rest of the movie. Because he seemed like a villain. He seemed like a cutthroat, ruthless motherfucker.
Right.
And it seemed kind of dark and grounded. And then it became this, like, origin of, like, petting zoos and shit. Like, the tone didn't match. So it's like they released 8 minutes, and if they would have followed that tone, I think it would have been a better movie, honestly. Yeah. But it wasn't bad. It never got to that next level. It's like, I mean, you're a writer. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But that third act just felt on the same level as the first two. It just never got. Yeah. I mean, how did that, you feel that same way, or any of that make sense? Or
I think there were moments. The prison scene was a moment. Him running after when they kidnapped his brother.
Yep,
that was a moment. Outside of that, I wrote a note. He was the hero out of the villains in this movie. Yes. In other words, they didn't make him a. They were very specific about keeping him as a villain, but he was the good guy out of all the bad guys, because there was nothing but bad guys in this movie, right? Bad guys and animals. And I think what made him softer was all the animal interactions. Now, Kraven, his powers are animal-based, right? Yeah. So he studies the tactics of wild animals, and he used those tactics in his attacks and his planning and so on and so forth. He uses like poisons and stuff that are natural, things like that. But the interaction with the tiger that grew up. I've seen him as a cub, and then the cub attacks him, like playfully trying to kill him, kind of a deal, in front of Calypso.
Right.
That was nonsense. That didn't need to be there.
Right.
So there was moments like that. The whole buffalo thing. He's out walking around in the middle of a plain. He hears and sees these thousands of buffaloes.
Oh, some Lion King type shit, dude. Yeah.
And one of them comes up and stands in front of him to protect him, so all the rest of the buffalo goes around that buffalo. I mean, it's shit like that. And it was just a lot of slow moments that could have been cut short, and they could have done some more prison scene level things in the movie to take it above. But like Mike said, it just never got out of second gear.
Yeah.
Right. Now, I feel like that whole dynamic of him with the animals is very different than the Kraven we're used to. He's a big game hunter.
Right.
In this, feels like he's working for PETA.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that felt off to me.
Right.
I understand maybe it's they're sensitive because how animal lovers are going to view him killing CGI animals, but like you can kill CGI people or real people movies, that's okay.
Yeah.
Right. God forbid you shoot a fake lion, know, on screen.
But that's how he got started. I mean, he got started big game hunting, right? And then he moved into criminals, and then he moved into superheroes because the criminals weren't adversarial enough, I guess.
Yeah, they weren't a challenge for him.
Exactly.
Yeah. But in here, he's like, he wanted to hunt everything but animals.
Right.
Like, he didn't even want to shoot the lion in the first place. The lion mauls him.
Right.
And then he wants to go back and have a petting zoo.
Well, the lion mauled him because his father shot the lion.
Correct.
And he was the first one after he got shot.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Dad. You think you got some issues with your parents? Has your dad ever shot a lion in front of you and have you let you get eaten half to death?
And the dad was like, why didn't you shoot him? Well, I wouldn't have had to shot him. I mean, he wouldn't have had to get shot at all if you wouldn't have shot him.
Absolutely.
We were bonding. Did you see the eyes?
Yep. And it seems like this is when I know he has animal-based powers, but he can communicate with animals in a way.
Apparently, like what he did when he broke out of prison, he was running to this winter storm that apparently the airplane could survive.
Correct.
Right, and trust me, That's not how that works.
Adrian has flown airplanes, by the way. Yeah, we're not just talking shit.
I've been in a plane in a storm, and with that kind of thing, that plane would have been tossed around like nothing, dude.
It was like a full-on blizzard, bro. And the plane's just like, come on, here we go. And it's like beating the storm. It's like, oh, yeah, we got out just in the nick of time.
I was on the ground of the plane, and we're sitting there trying to wait out this storm. This is just a regular, well, it's not a regular thunderstorm. A Florida thunderstorm, they're pretty dramatic. We're sitting there, and we're trying to wait this thing out, and this gust of wind comes through. We're sitting there in this thing. It picks the plane up off the ground, turns us sideways, and then drops us back on the ground. Now, they're in this monsoon. You ever see those deserts, like the Mummy, where the dirt comes, the sandstorms? Yep. Well, it was the equivalent of a winter storm in Kraven. This thing is coming, and he's running through it. Some wolf is following him. I don't know why. He do the eyeball thing with the wolf. The wolf's like, oh, okay. And then he runs through the storm and jumps into an airplane that's waiting. I'm like, come on, dude. The math is not mathing, Mike.
No,
the math is not mathing.
Nope, the math is definitely not mathing. But yeah, so that was off for me. I mean, I can't say enough praise about Aaron Taylor Johnson's performance as Kraven. He knocked it out of the park. The look, dude put on a lot of mass for this. Right. And that's the stuff we've talked about, like with little Tom Hardy playing Bane. Like, dude, I don't dislike Tom Hardy as an actor, but why we got my man's 5'9", bro? He can put on all the mass in the world. Christian Bale's like 6'2", 6'3". It doesn't look right. Yeah. Like that scene when he's holding him up over his head, it's like, dude, the math wasn't math in there either. Yeah. So he looked the part. I mean, Aaron Taylor, he's not a small guy. Right. And then he bulked up for this role. Yeah. But I even liked the comic accurate suit towards the end.
It wasn't quite comic.
Okay.
I mean, because the front of it is actually the face of the lion split in half in the comics, and then over here he had like some George Clooney nipple green,
nice,
things going on. So it
was missing some fur and some other elements,
but it was cool. Yeah. I mean, at the end I thought he was going to do some shirt cocking in the mirror there for a moment, but whatever.
The action scenes were cool. Yeah, I read some critiques about the CGI animals. Oh, they look so bad. I thought they weren't bad, dude.
They weren't bad.
They weren't great.
They weren't Hulk bad.
Sure, yeah. But I mean, it wasn't like the Lion or not the Lion King. I mean, they look great in that too. But like the Jungle Book, that was an awesome live action. Yeah. Like they weren't as good as those. I'd give them that. Right. But that's Disney. This is Sony, bro. They're like at the kiddie table. Yeah. But I think action scenes were cool. The story, it was all right. I talked about it earlier. I like Calypso's character. I like the actress who played her. I think she did a good job there. The brother dynamic. That was something I never knew, that Chameleon and Kraven were brothers in the comics.
I didn't either. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. You have any idea about?
No.
I mean, how many of y'all didn't know that? And I did spoil it for you. But that was in that story. I like Chameleon in this. Yeah. That was cool.
I mean, I think, because I went to see it with my wife, and she was like, "Isn't that the guy in Gladiator, the second one?"
Okay.
There was in Gladiator 2. There's these two brothers that are the rulers, right? And he's one of them. He's like psychotic or something, and he actually appoints his pet monkey as the first to succeed him. Yeah. At some point, but I think but he's he was like. It was almost like they CGI the whole person, because his head on that little body, it was just weird looking. Yeah. It was just weird looking. And then when he turned into Aaron Taylor Johnson at the end, and he's like so much smaller, it was just weird. It was almost like you Photoshop your face on somebody else's picture. It looked bad. But no, I didn't know that Chameleon and him were brothers. It was an interesting dynamic. That actually could set up as a sequel. Yeah. The way they ended it.
That was funny, too. There was a lot of points at the end of the movie that were setting up the sequel. Right. That we are, hey, spoiler, we're not going to ever see. No, they put the final nail in the coffin of this Sony failed universe. But it was funny that they spent like the last 10 minutes setting up elements, like the dynamic between the brothers now. Right. And in the comics, he's not, that's where I think they intentionally made Kraven likable in certain ways. And that's one of my overarching issues with this movie, because we just saw how you don't need to do that with the Penguin. It also, why was it rated R?
Exactly. I mean, there was not like a lot of horrific blood and guts.
No.
I mean, even if there were, the whole petting zoo thing would have neutralized that. I mean, there's literally animals every freaking the buffalo, the tiger, the bear at the end. They had to end it with that. That was a cool scene. Things like that. It was just. Why was it rated? I was expecting to see something.
Yeah.
But no, nothing.
Dude, there was, I mean, some bad language, you know, but nothing crazy. A couple of F-bombs, which they could have left out, you know.
Right.
And the blood was not, it wasn't that bad. We've seen more blood in some Marvel movies that are PG-13.
Right.
Like,
if you see Creature Commando, you will see, trust me, you will see blood. I mean, you will see some weird stuff.
Yeah. What'd you think of Rhino?
Bring back the mechanical Rhino from Spider-Man.
Oh, damn. It was that bad.
It was pitiful, dude.
Really?
It was the typical guy in the gym that didn't work on his legs, number one. The whole portrayal of him was just horrible.
Wow.
The transformation. It's like, dude, you gotta sit there and unplug something from you, which is your vulnerable spot, right? Which Kraven finds.
Yep.
You got to unplug something from you to become the Rhino, and it takes you 3 days to do it.
Right.
Come on, man. I could have chopped you up and put you in a meeting, all kinds of stuff before you do your transformation.
Yeah.
It was horrible, dude. It was worse than the Juggernaut in X-Men to me.
Oh, damn. Okay.
It was that
I agree
bad,
with that.
dude.
Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't go as far as bring the mechanical one back, but that was a rough. It's almost like, let's just not have Rhino then if this is what we're going to do.
Right.
Yeah, it was a little much. And yeah, I mean, so all in all, I thought it was decent. I wouldn't say go out right out to watch it. So, you know, I don't think the Kraven the Hunter account's going to reach out and want to promote this video.
Right.
But I
also with the Rhino, why they had to make him like what's that guy? It was a character, the Lex Luthor in the Superman.
Oh yeah,
it's like he was like maniacal. What was with the laughing and all
Everyone's
that?
Got to be
shit.
crazy. You know, everyone's gonna be crazy, Chris.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you're climbing in a fridge. You know.
Yep, exactly that scene. That scene always gets me.
This is your favorite scene in the Joker movie?
Why?
Well, that is the Kraven the Hunter review. I stand on 6. I think that's what I would give it. So yeah, I mean, I think like if you've seen any of these other movies, it's worth a shot. I mean, I do think it is the best of this shitty ass attempt of a cinematic universe. But I'm just more surprised that you're a Spider-Man fan. Like you read a lot of Spider-Man comics. With his rogue gallery, you said this about Batman earlier. I think Spider-Man's number 2 from the rogue gallery, right?
Yeah.
And the amount of just good stories that we've already had in comics and animation. How do you go to live action and screw them up this bad?
I don't know.
We're talking 6 really bad movies.
Yeah, over the course of years.
Yeah.
It's not like you didn't have it. It's not like you're cramming for the test.
Right. Right.
You've had time to work this out.
Correct.
And you've had enough people like us telling you that you're doing a shitty job.
Yeah.
And you're not auto-correcting.
Yeah.
Yep. Holy shit. No, they're definitely not. No, they're auto-fucking up is what they're doing. So that's Kraven the Hunter. But one of the reasons Chris is here, so actually before we get into this, let's tell everybody who Chris is. So Chris is a comic artist, right?
I am, yep.
You are working on a kind of universe of your own.
I am, yep.
One issue's out already.
Yes, I have a prequel issue out to the whole thing. And I'm currently writing and drawing the first issue of the main story.
Okay. So what we've read the first night,
Right.
you gave that to us, was probably almost a year ago now. You got it right there. Look at that.
Got a copy of it right there.
Yep.
Available on my website, chrisboyleart.com.
ChrisBoyleArt.com.
And digital on Amazon.
Nice.
Available on Amazon right now.
And you told me, is it also in a comic store around here?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. I've reached out to a few local comic book stores,
Yeah.
and I've started putting it on the shelves in there. So
Nice.
it's been great. A lot of the stores in the area do a lot to support local artists and local creators, which is great. It's great to be among like other creatives in the field.
Yeah,
Cool.
This is cool. I enjoyed it. First
Yep,
issue.
yep.
I'm intrigued, as Morbius would say,
Intrigued.
into what's coming in the future. But you wrote this thing, drew this thing, colored this thing all yourself.
Yes.
How much work from a time standpoint did it take for you to get that one issue done?
Quite a few months because, I mean, it's tough to juggle it with like a full-time job and other prior commitments and whatever. But so there's a lot of discipline in waking up early, trying to get it done throughout the day and throughout the week. But I've been writing the stories for years now and kind of tweaking it here and there. I've had outlines. Now I have issues. Now I have like whole things to it. And so probably for this one, it was probably like 4 or 5 months just to make and finalize one issue. But
years in the making from a creative
years in the
standpoint.
making to have something out now and to see where it started and where it's come now is just insane. insane.
Hey, J.K. Rowling started out, and is it J.K. Rowling? Ooh,
She's the Harry Potter chick.
Harry Potter, right?
Yeah.
She started out in a coffee shop on some napkins, dude.
Yeah.
Hey, look at it now.
And that's the thing. I always tell young creators, anyone who ever, I interact with, I say, save everything that you make, every drawing, every little bit, right? You never know when something's going to pop up. I wrote stuff on napkins, and I still have all that stuff just sitting there. So, because especially now, I go to write something that I thought of years ago, go back to that napkin. Right. And kind of refine that idea. Yeah.
Well, that napkin also holds up in a court of law.
Yeah.
Because that happens.
Yeah.
You know? So.
Yep.
Where did the inspiration for this comic come?
It's I've always wanted to start my own Batman.
Okay.
I've always wanted to have my own kind of thing. I love. It's kind of like a Renaissance era kind of comic. The ongoing story after this. Kind of a cosmic thing. It incorporates a lot of different elements from stories that I loved when I was a kid. Yeah. Elements from Batman, elements from Star Wars, and trying to boil these down to make something cohesive and something that follows one hero's journey throughout a world. So it's kind of a backdrop to talk about whatever I want to talk about. Sure. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Hellboy comics. It's kind of the same sort of vibe. You have this one character's walk through this world, and he's, his journey, and it was sparked by a lot of stuff that was going on in my own life at the time, and then wanting to reinvent Batman. We'll talk about it in a little bit, but the way that they approached Court of Owls influenced like a lot of how I came up with this character and how I approached my own thing and where to branch off into your own universe.
Okay. Got it. So if you like Batman, if you like Court of Owls, if you like us, if you like Chris so far, you're gonna love this book. Okay. That's I give it my my sign off. But I enjoyed it, dude. And I shared it with my son, who's he's 19. He loved it. He asked me every once in a while, "Yo, when's the next one coming out?
Soon,
I need to read it." Yeah.
Soon. I'm working pretty hard on that. I have multiple projects in the works. So right now, it's just trying to get a couple off the table. Yeah. Right. But I'm excited. I'm kind of going back and forth as to how I want to release the next one. If I want to release a couple chapters at the same time, if I want to just release one issue and see how that goes, or maybe I just overshoot it to a graphic novel.
I was going to ask, is there a graphic novel planned at the end?
Yeah. Because it's a long story. Yeah. And it's going to be like the first part of that. So I think I always look at things if this is your only time to be able to touch on this project. Yeah. You want to say everything you want now, right? So or touch on your main points now, and just give that a life outside of your head and whatnot. So we're kind of in that spot now. I think that's the way I'm going to go about it. So it's still working on it, but the artwork for it is coming along, and it's the best stuff I've made so far. So I'm very proud of it.
Would you say persistency has been key in your development of this thing?
Yeah.
Now, not just the ideas, but just never giving up. Keep moving this thing along.
Yeah, stuff gets in the way, and you have to want it, and you have to prioritize stuff. There's always going to be something else that you should be doing, but everyone has the same amount of hours in a day, and it's always been something I've wanted to do. So I just knew, all right, well, I have to add more hours into my day. I have to wake up early. If I just need to touch on this part because this is good for me. Right. I mean? So whatever this, not even a financial thing, but whatever this becomes, working on this has impacted me so much. Right. And that discipline involved in it, I mean, you can translate that to other areas of your life. Just having a passion for something and being involved. And I've loved comics my entire life. So to be involved in making that and to get to talk to other creatives and have something that I made resonate with other people, it's amazing. Yeah.
Now, isn't this book, so when you produced the first one, didn't the Library of Congress or something contact you and like, dude, you made this thing?
Yes, if you copyright a book of any kind really in the United States, you have to send a couple issues to the Library of Congress. And I went to DC recently. Wow. Nice. I went to the Library of Congress, and a lot of times they get caught up in the actual copyright bureau or office or whatever. So I talked to the guy, and they're like, "Well, we'll figure it out," because they wasn't at the Library of Congress, but he's like, "I do see in the system. Just contact me. We'll get it all sorted out." So it's true. If you go there, you'll be able to look at your stuff.
Damn. So how arousing is that? Is like, not only do you think you're doing this just for you, right? Unless you're one of those people that are like, I'll make it and they will come. Yeah. So you do this thing for you. And then not only are you excited about and you have the satisfaction of having this finished project, but then you got like the Library of Congress, who's basically saying we're going to keep your work of art in existence forever.
Yeah.
Like, how cool is
as
that?
long as
how
the station stands, it'll be there, and it's a really powerful thing to see something come of that, because I've spent over the years hours and hours on it, and it's nice to see where it is now, where it's been, and then where it's going. I mean, however long it takes to get there is irrelevant. I'll keep doing it.
Right.
But it's
so think about this, like, right? So doomsday scenario, right? You know how they like pack up everything. You see like the the Mona Lisa in the cage and shit.
Yeah.
Then the Chris's the
first night's right next to it. Right next to it.
be careful
Mona
with
Lisa.
that. Be careful with that.
Yeah, easy. That's fragile. What the hell? Matter of fact, we'll carry it.
Yeah,
Come on,
that's
put it down.
that's
We
it.
can't trust y'all.
Very cool.
But the first night, great comic, great start. Again, can't wait to see where it leads to, and just the art. I mean, flip through some of those pages, dude.
Yeah.
Can't spoil it for him. You got to buy it.
spoil it,
But look at this, dude.
Yeah.
That's
man, look
awesome.
at that.
dude.
Page.
This is awesome.
So it's available on chrisboyleart.com and digitally on Amazon. And when I release the new stuff, it will be kind of a remaster coming out with that. So,
Okay.
Cool.
Nice. From an artist standpoint, who are some of your biggest influences?
Greg Capullo was a huge inspiration because that was my favorite, or that was my first Batman comic, was Court of Owls. So
Okay.
he was kind of the first person that introduced me to that whole art style and whatnot. And then Tim Sale, loved Tim Sale. Loved Tim Sale. Todd McFarlane. Jim Lee, Andy Kubert. I loved Andy Kubert.
Okay.
I loved the way certain artists, especially going back to Tim Sale, the way they interact with shapes and Batman's cape, how that interacts with the environment. And, the drama that is involved in making comics. Because you're a movie director, so it's trying to, and you don't have the screen and effects to do these things. So just giving something as simple as the fabric on Batman's cape, how to give that a life. To it. It's just interesting how these people manage to do that. And then Jeff Smith, who wrote a children's graphic novel series, Bone.
Okay.
Huge inspiration to me as a kid. That was a kind of like a night story that he did. He actually follows me on Instagram now.
Oh, nice.
He's a great guy, and really inspiring work, and very, very different from something like a superhero comic book. It's more of like a cartoon kind of art style, and beautiful. I mean, and so all these guys get boiled down into whatever I am.
And you see it. A lot of the ones you can see in your style.
Yeah, I've heard that, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And I heard Greg Capullo said one time that an artist's style is just a series of mistakes that you just keep doing over and over again. It kind of becomes your style.
Yeah.
And I always love that, because it's, when you grow up making art and comics, you have to be critical of your own stuff. You're always going to be more critical than anyone else's.
Absolutely.
Yep.
But when I started working on the comics, when I finally got to a point when I was just like, I don't want to draw like Greg Capullo. I draw like me.
Yeah.
So at some point you branch off, you're like, this is how I draw. Just refine whatever the style is that you made.
Right.
So the character development involved in working on projects like that is amazing.
Love it. So go to chrisboyleart.com. You're on social. Is Instagram your biggest platform?
Yep. Chris Boyle Art on everything.
There you go.
Twitter, X, and
Yep.
Instagram, website, all that stuff.
There you go. Well, drop him a follow, support Chris. We're going to move into Court of Owls. So it's funny because this book it's actually, you recommended this book to me years ago.
Yep.
I had a copy. We were talking about this before we got on. Dude, I'm sure you're the same way. I got stacks of comics at home, Adrian, that I bought that I'm like, I can't wait to read this, and I've been waiting to read this.
Yeah.
I got the whole list, dude. Like, I'm sure you do too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So this was one I had bought. It was a 3-pack. It was Court of Owls, it was maybe Night of Owls, and Death of the Family.
Death of the Family,
yes.
yeah. Yep.
So that was the first 3 kind of graphic novels from Snyder and Capullo. Yep. So I bought this box set, dude, years ago. Like, I mean, this came out in 2012. I probably bought this thing in 15, Never read it. Wow. Never read it.
Wow.
And then when I met Chris, he's like, dude, like, just what you used to tell me, it's one of my favorite comics.
Yeah.
He introduced me to Batman. You got to read it. So I'm like, all right, let me check this thing out. So I've read this twice now. I read it once when you originally suggested it. You've not read this before.
I have not read it, but I did see the Batman, the Court of Owls things. Right?
Oh, yeah.
So it's similar but different.
Yeah.
It does. Have you seen the animated movie Batman versus Robin?
Oh,
Yeah.
So it
I
ties.
did. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I did.
They pull a lot from
Yeah.
this.
Yep.
A lot of the good stuff, you know.
Right.
So you saw that. So this kind of brought you back to
Right.
that.
Yep.
And you first read this when it originally came out. Or?
Yeah, when it kind of within the same year it came out. I
Yeah.
was young. I was very young at the time. I was 12. And
Oh, shit.
when you looked up, I was trying to get into Batman comics. I saw
Yep.
the movies.
Right.
The movies that the series was pretty relevant at the time. And if you looked up Batman comics I should read,
Yep.
get started. The DC website would direct you to this book itself because they were
Okay.
going through a restart of the universe or whatever.
Right,
So
the
they're like,
old
here,
New
start
52.
exactly. So they were like, start here.
Yeah.
And so I remember Christmas, my mom got me that, and it was just changed my life. It's
There you
amazing.
go.
It's amazing, the little things that you have.
Yep.
Now you're big on the artwork, right? Like
Yeah.
you said, if the artwork ain't right, I don't care how good the story is. I can't
That's
get
it.
into it. How'd you feel about the artwork here?
I like the artwork.
Yeah.
Not only did I like the artwork in the book that I haven't read because I just flipped through it.
Yeah.
But I also like the artwork in the animated version of the Court of Owls. So yeah, definitely all around.
Yep. Like what you were just talking about, the details in the cape. You know, you look at like even this panel here.
Yeah.
You look at the
Yeah.
just the details, the texture in Batman's suit, these little like crease lines
Yeah.
and stuff, things
Yeah.
that we've never seen before.
And I do want to say a lot of that has to do with Jonathan, who worked on the inks on this copy, or this volume, and his ink work was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And he's gone on to do his own artwork and be a phenomenal artist in his own right. But
Yep.
he added a lot to this story.
Absolutely. I mean, the detail on the villains. I love this
Yeah.
spread early on where it shows
Yeah.
all the villains.
That's
like,
my
this here.
the opening scene of this is one of my favorite scenes in all of comics.
Yep.
There's no place like home. It's just
Right.
I love it.
Oh yeah, the whole narrative of Gotham
You can
is.
see it cinematically
Yep.
in your
Right.
head.
Oh, dude, yeah, this has got to make a movie written all over it, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And partly why Chris Weaven decided to do this was there was a rumor a few weeks ago that the Court of Owls are going to play a big role in the next The Batman
Yeah,
film
I
with
heard that.
my boy Battinson,
I heard that.
the
Yeah.
greatest live-action Batman of all time, Adrian. Yeah.
Nope.
No.
He is a good young Batman.
Yes.
And he has time to develop.
Yeah.
Just like Robert Downey Jr. developed Iron Man, and
Sure.
now he's going on to do other things.
Yep.
This is a good opportunity for Pattinson to become his version of the Batman,
Yeah.
and then move him on into
Yeah,
it.
absolutely. And I think this story would fit that universe very well because I mean the whole premise of this is just deep corruption that has gone on for a century,
Centuries.
Yeah.
right? Centuries, like, and it's always been based around the Wayne family.
Yeah.
And I like in this how Batman is like he doesn't want to buy into it because I mean,
yeah.
I love when we see a flawed Batman.
Yes.
Too much we see him at the greatest detective, the
Bat God.
greatest Bat God.
Yeah, and this was on when they did the reboot. This was on the Tales of Bat God.
Yeah.
So Snyder kind of approached this character, and he talks about it before. Where he's just like, okay, I can't live up to what happened before, so he's like, I'm just gonna reinvent him. What if
Right.
I created this character? And I loved it because it made Batman relatable,
Yeah.
flawed.
Yep.
He's arrogant.
He
just
is.
thinks no one knows this city as good as I do. And the whole point
Right.
of that story is no, you don't know anything.
Exactly.
Loved it.
Right.
He's such a dick to Dick.
Yeah.
I like dude, just such an asshole. Like he's like, no, I was talking to continue. Oh yeah, no, I was talking to the computer,
Yeah.
dude. Like, leave me alone. But in this whole Court of Owls becomes like, in this story, it's like a wives' tale, nursery rhyme or
Yep.
whatever. So he's like, dude, I thought this was all bullshit. Dude, that panel where the body is hanging on the wall with the 50 freaking blades in it, dude, that's sick.
Yeah.
And they all have the little owl insignia.
I
on
also
them.
love Harvey Bullock.
Yes.
The lieutenant or whatever he is in this, but he's just such a fun detective character to have.
Yep. So I like the setting. I like the you talked about this here when you discussed Nightwing or it was one of the hidden gems when you were talking about Batman's kind of surrounding cast and tech that he has where he can change his face or whatever.
Right.
We saw that here. He's fighting as Joker. When I first read this, I'm like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
Right, when Joker shows up in the
Yeah.
cave, I'm like, wait a minute, they such pals that
Yeah.
Joker's just
They're
got
fighting
Right, I'm like,
open
bro,
door.
we're a little off here, dude. I'm
Right.
all for a new interpretation, but then he switched the thing off. That was cool. Are you a big Nightwing guy?
I'm not familiar with his solo stories, but I love that character. I love when he guest stars in Batman.
Yeah.
I like their relationship.
Yes.
You know?
He ain't afraid to tell
Yeah.
Bruce he'll speak his mind, he'll give a
Exactly,
shit.
and I like that dynamic. Your stepson, and then you grow up, and they're equals. I like that interaction that they have.
I think one of the biggest difference between the Court of Owls and then the Batman vs. Robin movie is Damian is barely in this. He's just like, you see him once and that's it. Right. Which I don't think he was needed, but that was a different take in the movie. Dude, the Talon's badass.
Yeah.
When I love that scene or the panel where in flames it says Bruce Wayne will die tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then we see that fight. Dude, he gets his ass whooped.
He does.
The Talon's a savage.
Yeah. And that's a beautiful spread with the sunset and everything. And I love it. I love the pacing of those first couple issues too. The way
Yeah, because it didn't jump right into it. I mean, it's maybe the 4th or 5th issue till we actually see the Court of Owls.
Yeah. Yep.
I also, again, the art throughout this is phenomenal. I like the labyrinth scene.
Yeah. The maze.
The maze, yeah. Like he just kind of gets dropped in. The whole building, the 13th floor is not there. And then he finds out that's where they're all hiding. They blow the shit up.
Yep.
That was cool. But I like how they captured Batman.
Yeah.
Like they put him in a very vulnerable spot, which, to your point, Bat Guy, you don't see that much in comics.
Yeah, you think you know this city better than anyone else, but they have an entire massive maze complex right below your feet you had no idea about. So.
Now, did they drop Batman in there or they drop Bruce Wayne in there knowing that he was Batman?
They dropped Batman knowing he was Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because Batman was dressed up. He was dressed as Batman. So he's like this building. I think it was a building that his great grandfather, whatever, Alan Wayne built. And the whole superstition. You don't have a 13th floor, but he said a lot of buildings have the 13th floor is just an empty floor. Perfect spot to hide something like this. Right. So of course he finds out where it is, and as he's uncovering all this shit, now he has to acknowledge that he was wrong.
Yeah.
Because the whole time he's going, dude, Court of Owls don't exist.
Yeah,
I've looked into it.
Yep.
And I think I like this too. Now, this was the first story of this new 52, the new reboot. I love that they didn't have to rehash the whole Bruce.
I know.
The Thomas and Martha. They touched on it real quick.
They touched on the wake.
Yeah.
Like after the fact of this tragedy. They didn't have to go and show it.
No. We had to see it all again, dude. We didn't have to. And it played a part. And that was good, too. Because, we've seen it already.
Yeah.
And the whole Bat family's already established. That was cool, too,
Yeah.
We don't need to go back to ground one.
It was really because during New 52, a lot of the titles didn't consistently do well over the course of that adventure, but the Batman one kept getting more popular. So it was kind of for a while carrying the entirety of these.
Wow.
So when they ended up going back on the New 52, Batman was one of those ones that had like a soft reboot because they kind of took Hush, they took those other things because they're just so good we just can't count them as out of continuity. But everything else it kind of did.
Yeah.
Batman got special treatment, so it kind of picked up all on its way through it. It's just the way they tied it together.
Yeah, it's a weird time for the continuity. Like some shit is included, some's not, and maybe they still exist, but the timeline's now different.
Yeah.
Like Batman is kind of younger now.
Yeah.
But
from my understanding too, because I've watched a lot of interviews with the artists and creators behind these, there was a lot going on with the studio at the time, and there was a lot of like talking heads and whatnot involved in the thing. So there's a lot of mixed opinions about that time period in DC.
Right.
But it seems like the people who worked on this really did have fun making it.
Yeah.
And
I'd like to hear the conversation about, because Marvel and DC, they both had a reboot or reset. And they used these multiverse things to do that. What was the conversation before that for them to say, okay, about the same time we're going to reboot both comic book entities? Yeah. So I think that would have been an interesting conversation. Not that it had anything with the Court of Owls, but it was just something I thought about.
Yeah. It was like, because it was my first Batman comic, it worked the way they intended. It was the perfect start or introduction because the reason they rebooted supposedly was the timelines were just too confusing. There was too much history, so they needed something for newer, younger kids to get involved in comics. All right, start here, and you don't have to see anything prior.
Right.
Which worked out because it ended up being an introduction to the character as a whole, and then you go back and read all these other stories. And
Yeah, and I like how Dick Grayson is tied up in this too as somebody that was going to be a Talon. So they determined like the Court of Owls are pretty much recruiting from the circus, right? And they're turning these humans into these Talons or whatnot, and the way they all have that emblem on their tooth or whatever. I love when Batman smacks the shit out of Robin, and his tooth falls out. And he's like, "Look, you were gonna be a cut."
There was a different way to do that.
Yeah. Like you could have been like, "Yo, come here, let me show you your molar." He's like, it was like the old meme, like shut up, Robin. Yeah, that was classic. But great story, and I do think I said this earlier with the whole corruption in the Batman. It's almost like a natural progression.
Yeah,
because in the first movie, it's very surface level, the mayor, the people you see.
Yeah.
The cops, the police commissioner, all that good stuff. But this is deep rooted.
This is the city underground.
Yeah.
You had no idea about any of this. You
Yep.
know? And I love the inner voice that Snyder writes him with. Like,
Yeah.
he's a very vulnerable, kind of confusing Batman. He's questioning himself, whereas he's never really portrayed as that. Outwardly, he's, like, confident, like, I am the god. And then inside, he's like, I didn't know any of this. I don't know.
We did Hidden Gem on Gotham, and the talent, and there was also a animated film about Batman, and in one scene he was in his submarine going underneath the river or something, and in that scene was Gotham underwater from like centuries, right? You see skeletons. I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah.
So to me, that scene and the Talons, I mean, there's so much history. I mean, Gotham itself is a living entity that has been carried with all of this power, this money, all the bad shit, and all the bat shit, right? So it's a lot. The Talons fit perfectly in this entire thing that is Gotham, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I like the design of the Talon.
Oh,
It's pretty sick.
yeah.
Yeah.
I like I'm a big history nerd too, and I love all the like historical looking designs that they had for it too. When there's a swarm of Talons and all that is.
Dude, the cover of this. So this is when he's in that maze. Now I don't think it doesn't go this crazy in the comic, but like first of all, this is insane.
Yeah,
Capullo's art.
But in the maze, he was he didn't have food for a week. He was in there for a week,
right?
By one of the Talons, right? And the only source of, I guess, nourishment that he had was water.
The water fountain,
for the water fountain, but the water fountain was drugged.
Yes.
So he could have seen that
delirious.
as a version, but due to delirium, right?
Yeah. What was your interpretation of that? Because we saw Batman look more animalistic, but that's just how he's viewing himself. Yeah. But we're seeing that, which is pretty cool.
When the rest of the Court of Owls comes down, or whatever, and he sees them as these owl creatures, or whatever. I think that's the whole thing, is that he's kind of not trusting what he's seeing. He's hallucinating, not trusting what he's seeing anymore, and he's like, all right, it's real. This is far beyond me.
Right.
He also gets his ass kicked, but then the Bat God panel where he's
with the
he
suit
beefs up and everything, and then it's amazing.
And they fight. They show up at the crib. They're like, "Yo, we're here." You know, it's like old school, bro. You got a problem? You show up at the house. What's up? You all shit you were talking in school, bro. Let's go.
That's it.
You know, and then they invade the mansion. They're in the Bat Cave, and this is something that we saw almost to a T in the Batman in the movie, where they freeze them, because that was the only thing that really stopped them. Was freezing their asses, sub-zero temperature. But yeah, he comes out in this like Iron Man type suit, dude, just wrecking shit. That was cool. And it calls the whole Bat family. So it's like they play a very kind of background role, but we see them all in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
What'd you guys think of? Sorry to cut you off, Adrian.
Well, what I was going to say is, in the Court of Owls, it really wasn't a good look for Batman.
No.
I mean, literally everybody was kicking his ass.
Yep.
In the movie, Damian was kicking his ass.
Yep.
Talon was kicking his ass. I mean, the Talons was kicking his ass in the museum. I mean, so it was not a good look for the Supreme Batman. You know.
What do you guys think of the Lincoln March character?
I liked him, dude.
I like the dichotomy of the prodigal son, and he's like, I came up from nothing, and like the two different versions of Bruce Wayne.
It was very good contrast to Bruce.
Right.
I liked, and it also it almost like there was no Harvey Dent in this, but it kind of filled that void of having that type of character as well.
Like visually, just the first scene that he's introducing when they meet each other at the party, which by the way I love that party. So I love the build up to that.
Yep.
But when he meets Lincoln March, him being taller than him too.
Right.
Bruce having to look up to what is essentially his equal or his rival counterpart.
Yep.
That's a little crazy because he's already massive.
Correct.
So just the visual of that and understanding pretty early on is like, oh, this is someone you got to pay attention to.
Yeah.
You couldn't have Tom Hardy play him.
No.
No. He's not tall enough. Yeah. But yeah, all in all, this is one of my top Batman stories. Now, you're probably bigger on it than me. Like, I would say Long Halloween's my number one.
Yeah. Long Halloween is up there for me too.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, Hush is probably I love Hush, dude.
Yeah.
I know some people are kind of mixed on that.
Yeah.
I love Hush. Where would you put this from? Like, is it in your top 5, top 3?
Oh, it's definitely in my top 3.
Yeah,
it's definitely in my top 3. Now, whatever my top 3, it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. Probably Dark Knight Returns, Court of Owls, and then I said Long Halloween.
Yeah.
Probably Hush, just because of the staying power that Hush has had.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, it's just those. There's a reason those are reprinted as much as they
Oh
are.
my God. Yeah. And I'm like, I mean, Snyder's great. I think Jeff Loeb's probably my favorite Batman writer.
Yeah.
Like, I think, you know, I think he understands the character better than anyone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's I think that was one of my biggest issues with the Snyderverse is I don't think Zack Snyder understands the characters.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or maybe he does and he's giving you just his own take and he don't give a shit. But based on what we've seen on screen, I'm like, that's not the DC characters I'm used to.
What I liked about Scott Snyder is he seemed to give Batman a conscience.
Yeah.
You know, he really gave you like a look into how he's thinking things through. It's not just a calculating this is right and wrong kind of thing. He's like, am I right? Is this the correct approach to this? I don't know. This is as good as I can do.
Right.
You know, no one has really written him the way Scott Snyder did, and I really appreciated how he did. Because for his whole run, there was kind of that. His whole run I look at as one big Batman story. Because that
they were on for what, over a year, right?
They were on for a long time.
Yeah.
Long time. Quite, I think it was 6 years or
6
so.
years.
Like they made it 52 issues. I think,
Okay.
52, because they kind of ended up, the New 52 ended up becoming, they were just like, they gave up on it. They added it into all the old continuity.
That's right.
And the new continuity.
Yeah.
So this was
a mess.
It was a mess.
The
It was a
multiverse
mess.
is a mess.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed revisiting this. I love these big absolute versions too. So here I am, Chris, plugging shit for DC. You know what they've done for me so far? Absolutely fucking nothing. So, but here I am plugging it away, Adrian. Why not? You know, that's what we do. So, anyways, Court of Owls. I enjoyed it. What'd you think of it, Adrian? Overall,
I love the story.
Yeah.
The artwork is great. Lot of good stuff, and that just solidifies what we said here before. There's so much content. You don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Right.
You got 85 years of Batman alone.
Correct.
There's so much grounded stuff you can do.
Yeah.
You don't need to do this crazy crap that they're trying to do today.
Just like that animated movie, it just pulls from a few different Batman stories. It pulls from Court of Owls, and it pulls from the whole. I think it's a Grant Morrison run where it's a lot Damian and Batman. It pulls from those two. And it makes a hell of a movie.
Right.
Instead of trying to reinvent the wheel every time. Like that, it's lazy. I don't care if it's lazy if it works, dude.
Yeah.
I'm all about lazy if it gets the job done.
That's it.
I also think, it was Greg has talked about it a lot. The way he started drawing the character at the beginning of the book versus the end, you can see a difference in like Bruce Wayne and Batman. You can see visually it's different at the end.
Oh yeah, Batman looks rough. Bruce looks rough at the end. Dude.
Yeah. And then his art style changes too, because at the beginning, figure you take on all this pressure. I'm reinventing Batman. So he's listening to all these online people saying, "Oh well, he can't do this. He's a Spawn artist." Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And to see him kind of boxed in at the beginning, he's still Greg Capullo. I mean,
Right.
but to see him kind of get more comfortable with the character throughout the story. You're watching the creators of it kind of come into their own right with Batman throughout the story. And it's just, as a piece for the time period itself too, I just think it's amazing.
It's crazy that this thing's 12 years old now.
It's wild.
Like, I feel like it was just the other day. I was like, oh shit, they got this new Batman.
I was 12 when I started reading.
Wow.
I'm about to be 26.
Damn.
So it's just the things that change your life in that way.
Yeah.
That inspire you.
That's a cool point too. Like, we're all from about 10, 15 years different generations.
Right.
Like, you're about to be 26. I'm about to be 39. Adrian's 22.
Yep, that's it. I am not 39.
No, but I mean, we're all from like a different generation, but a story like this can connect with.
Resonate.
I mean, it's a great story that connects with different generations. It's one thing to write something for your core audience. Hey, 12-year-olds are going to love this. Cool.
Yeah.
But this thing, I think it
Now,
brings
my
us all together.
challenge for this group would be to continue and read the whole run.
Okay.
And to judge it based on the run, kind of, because there's so many different moving parts, and not every story is a absolute nail like Court of Owls. But if you look at it as their entire, Scott Snyder got a very rare opportunity to tell his entire version of Batman. So to look at it as that, I think would be an interesting pod.
Yeah. I've not gone the whole run. I think I made it. I did read Death of the Family once. I'd have to revisit it. But and even that their take on the Joker is sick, with the face cut off and then like kind of sewed back on type shit. Yeah. So I mean, artwork alone, I mean, it's almost like, you talk about Dark Knight Returns. There's All Star Batman, which the story is atrocious.
Yeah, but
I love Jim Lee's art, dude. He's like I go back and forth. Tim Sale, Jim Lee, these guys from a Batman artist, and Capullo's probably a close third for me. But the story is so bad, Adrian. So bad.
Like it's so bad that it's on permanent sabbatical.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they never finished the story.
They never finished it, but they will not say they won't.
No.
And it's been like 15 years.
Yeah. It's not like it's been a few months or like, hey, 6 months off. It's 15 years.
And they're always rumored. They're like, all right, we're gonna start working on it again this year. Never mind. It's always stuff like that.
There was an All-Star Superman.
There was,
movie.
Yeah.
Did you guys see
the too? I haven't seen the movie.
I haven't seen the movie. The comic was good.
Okay. Yeah. Is it the same context where you had like these super powered and they end up on the moon at the end or something like that?
I don't recall.
The story's so wacky, I can't even remember.
And it's interesting because the All-Star was meant to be like, all right, we're going to give these groups of creators just complete right to do your own thing.
Right.
That's now become DC with the Black Label and everything.
Oh, yeah.
That's really become, DC has become their credit, like an artist playground.
Yeah.
You create them. You have this story and that story. They're all so different. They don't really have to stay within the confines of continuity anymore, which I think is the way forward for these things.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Well, speaking of the way forward, we're going to get into We Respond, Chris. This is the whole reason Chris showed up.
Here we go.
He loves to get on here and talk to you all. But no, we have, a handful of guests, and I try to give everybody a shout out, like some regulars. And one of the things we're working on now is what to call the Only Comics fans, Can't call them Only fans. We can't do that. That's already been taken.
Right.
And we've had some suggestions. Someone said, oofs. It was something like Only Fans of Only Comics or something. So we're trying to. But right now, this is just this is our squad here. Okay, so this guy here, it was too big to be called a sword. We know him.
Right.
You do need a nickname though. It's just too long to say every time. But he says, "Hey, M&A." So you can't say Mike and Adrian, but you want me to say your whole fucking name. Anyways, he says, the guy with the really long name. I've heard it mentioned a few times now that Adrian hasn't watched Shang-Chi. He's calling you out. He has to check it out. Highly underrated MCU movie, and the end battle was epic. I agree with all that. Have you seen Shang-Chi?
No.
You either, dude. No. It's one of the better Marvel movies of the recent years. It just had the unfortunate. It came out during COVID or right after COVID, so everyone was still afraid to leave their house. So. But he says, would love to know both of well, now you're getting 3 today, favorite epic jaw-dropping moments in the comics. I have 2, Doom Soul Snatching Thanos in Secret Wars, which we talked about earlier, and the entire battle between Invincible and Conquest in Invincible. Epic battle lasted several issues, favorite fight in comics. So jaw-dropping moments. Doom Soul, I've talked about it all the time. That's definitely one of mine. The other would be when Magneto in Fatal Attractions removes the adamantium from Wolverine's body. As a kid, that was traumatizing. I literally, dude, I was probably like, I think I was younger than you with Court of Owls. I was probably 9 years old. And Wolverine was my man, dude. Wolverine. Then I show up to Stop and Shop because we're going grocery shopping. I'm reading the Turnstile, and I see this page of his the everything that makes him Wolverine, the adamantium being ripped through his body. I was traumatized, dude. I was like, I didn't sleep for weeks, But those are probably my 2. What, anything stands out to you?
Wow. I remember the first panel that got me it's an old Ironman comic, and he was doing something, and I think it's like a John Byrne style art.
Yep.
And so he's out, and this tanker was in the shipyard, and then something was happening, and the things that held the tanker up start collapsing, or they got broken. I think it was a fight or something. And then Iron Man goes up, and to keep the tanker from tilting over, he slams up against the tanker, right? Boots on maximum, full blast, and I think he slowly lets the tanker down instead of just having it totally collapse. But he uses up all of his reserves. Okay. So then at the end, he's down, he's 1%. So that was the most epic moment to me from a long time ago.
Yeah.
I was probably reading it before you were born, apparently.
Right. Damn.
So the other one is definitely the Thanos and the Scott soul snatching things. As the most recent. I'm sure there's a lot of stuff in between, but
even as you're talking, I'm thinking Under the Red Hood, that reveal when they're fighting in the alley, raindrops everywhere. I forget who drew that, but that was that was really cool. What about you, Chris? A couple big moments in the comic.
In Hush, when Batman has the kryptonite ring.
Oh yeah.
And he's the interaction between him and Superman in that.
Yep.
There was a really big build up. That was one of my I mean, granted they've done that before.
Sure.
With Superman fighting Batman, but it was just he always has this kind of thing. I love that interaction.
I love I'm wearing the X-Men shirt, and a year ago, it's on TikTok now. They did have this on this day a year ago. We put out that video, Adrian, where we talked about the X-Men beating the Justice League. Right. And everybody lost their motherfucking mind, Chris. Most people. It was probably 50-50. But, everyone's like, hey, Superman is like a god. He's this, he's that. I'm like, bro, Batman puts a little ring on with a stone in it, and it's a wrap. So you cannot tell me that, hey, Scarlet Witch makes him believe his blood's made of kryptonite. What happens then? You know what I mean? Like that. What happens then? Stop. Or how about Professor Xavier reads Batman's mind. He has a contingency plan for all of these heroes, right? Exactly. And then he goes, hey, kryptonite ring on his belt. Someone swipes it. Or fucking Jean flies up to Krypton real quick with her Phoenix powers, comes back with a big block of kryptonite and drop. I'm just saying, so.
Or Jean just turns everything around Superman into kryptonite.
That too.
I mean, that.
That too.
There's so many panels that just stick out, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So many good moments, and it's hard to choose. There's one later in their run where it's Jim Gordon as Batman.
Oh, yeah.
And he calls a truck.
Yeah.
He calls a semi-truck on the big monsters, the villain at the time. They just airdrop it out of the sky, and it just goofy stuff.
Yeah.
I love those moments. Anything that's a double page spread too. Those big moments. Todd McFarlane talks about that.
I love the panel. We actually talked about this here recently, or actually in my year one review, when Batman in year one, the silhouette, and he's like, "You've all eaten well."
That's the dialogue on that.
The dialogue on it, and it's simple. It's a shadow silhouette. You could draw it on a napkin. Like it's very simple.
He's scary.
Yeah,
he's scary. And that.
I love that panel.
Yeah. Tim Sale was always great with that too. He was great with the silhouettes.
Oh yeah,
work is incredible.
That's the thing. There are probably so many in the Long Halloween that I'm not even thinking of.
Yeah.
The story, the rest of the comic not so great, but Death in the Family. The panel when Batman's holding the dead Joker. I mean, that was pretty striking.
Iconic. Iconic.
But there's a lot, dude. There's so many. Yeah. That was a good question, you with the long name over here. Freedman7567. So he's free now. Longtime listener, first-time commenter. Absolute Batman is great, but Absolute Wonder Woman is miles ahead of Absolute Batman or Superman. So there's absolute version for all three of these characters now. So he says, love the podcast. Mike, thank you for convincing me to watch the Batman movie for the first time. 10 out of 10. Exactly right, dude. 10 out of 10. See, we're influencing people, Chris. So.
I'm going to go with the critics on this.
MGX57, thanks for another great episode, guys. I have a hidden gem request for Adrian. El Diablo from DC. Okay, El Diablo. Rome Zoolander says, happy to find another person that doesn't like LA Knight. So we talking about some WWE stuff recently. And yes, you're right. I cannot fucking stand LA Knight. So he has this whole gimmick. He says something and he goes, yeah. So we were at WrestleMania with the kids, and every time we were in this group and people around us were saying that, and we're like, no, every single time. So yeah, no, fuck that guy.
So quick question.
Yep.
The Rock, WWE versus the Justice League.
Oh, shit. The WWE Rock. Oh, he's in a solo then, obviously. I bust out that people's eyebrow and do it. It's a wrap. So, the Captain Canada, he's back, dude. Yo, we got we got fans all over the world, dude. Adrian's looking for one in Scotland.
Scotland, right?
He's not found. We've got Ireland, we got South Africa, we got Captain Canada here. Says appreciate the shout out, guys. Another killer episode as always. Mike, what are your thoughts on Marvel Rivals? Ooh, I played it. I'm loving it. I think my top characters are so far Iron Fist, Moon Knight, Cloak and Dagger, Wolverine, and Punisher. Still more to try, but I'm curious to know who are your top guys to play with. So Marvel Rivals. You're not a gamer, are you, Chris?
No, but it's like an Overwatch kind
It
of
is.
thing?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
It's an Overwatch clone.
Yeah.
But it's all Marvel characters, and I've been playing. Dude, I'm a casual gamer now at this point. At almost 40, you know, I just don't have a lot of time. The problem is you mentioned this when you're working on your comic book. Is jobs get in the way.
Yeah.
They take up a lot of time, dude.
They do.
Freaking
do.
jobs.
What the heck, dude? When I was a kid, they're like, get a job. You're gonna get paid and all shit. But you didn't tell me that it's gonna take up most of my damn life.
Most of the time.
Jesus. So I do not don't get a job. No. But unfortunately, you need them to support your lifestyle. But this game, I've played more hours in this game than I have of any game so far this year. And it's only been out like a week. I absolutely love it. I need something at almost 40, Chris, where I don't need to have to catch up with the story every time I play it.
Yeah.
I need something that is a little simple. It can't feel like work. I don't like those grind games where you go do this thing, this activity for 3 hours to get this one gun to go. It's way too much.
Yeah.
I need something I can pick up. I don't need to know what the hell's going on.
Thing.
And just get in the game.
I agree.
And that's what this is. It's a 6v6. It's considered a hero shooter, but since, most of these characters don't have guns, it's not really a shooter. But there's 3 different classes of characters. There's a tank class called the Vanguard. These are people like Magneto's like ginormous in this. Captain America's a tank. Thor. Then there's the duelists. These are kind of like your intermediates. They have a lower health, but they do damage. You got people like Scarlet Witch. You got Black Panther, Wolverine in there. So and then they have the strategists, which are essentially healers. So 6v6, you got a squad going, you got some tanks down low, you got some other guys moving in and out, and 2 healers or whatnot. So it's a fun game. There's a couple different ways to play. There's one map where it's like a payload, so something's moving. There's a level where those goats from Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah,
that goat and carriage is there. You're kind of in like Asgard or whatnot, and you just got to fight off the other team and keep this thing moving along until it gets to the end, right? Then there's like a if any of y'all played Destiny, it's like a control type where you get to one location and you hold it down, right? You kill off the people and you have to hold this area for a certain amount of time or whatnot. So, dude, it's real fun. It's easy to get a game going. And to answer your question, Captain Canada, my favorite character so far, Scarlet Witch. I love using her. She has this siphon ability, so you hold one of the R2 and she literally just siphons health. So she's probably my number 1. Magneto's number 2. Thor's number 3. I'm actually really liking Captain America in this game. And I messed with Wolverine a little bit just because how do you not? But all in all, dude, I've been loving it. So I know you're only a Ratchet Clank kind of guy. Adrian,
it sounds intriguing. What's the game?
Marvel Rivals. It's a free-to-play game, so it's like one of those like Fortnite-type games where you download it for free. The only shit that you pay for if you really want to are cosmetic things, different skins and stuff, which is cool. Yeah. So I highly recommend. For me, it's Game of Year already, So, yeah. So Captain Canada, dude, there you have it. Sons of Sekhmet. Sons of Sekhmet. He's our boy. This episode is next level. He's talking about last week. So we're talking about least favorite characters.
Ooh.
These are his least favorite. Howard the Duck, Squirrel Girl. I'll tell you what, dude, in this game, I hate whoever uses Squirrel Girl. She's got these, like, freaking nuts that she uses. Dude,
right.
She slingshots them at you. There's way too much damage. So fuck all y'all Squirrel Girl users. He agrees with Reverse Flash. I can't stand Reverse Flash. Jubilee. Dude, I love me some Jubilee. Damn, Sons of Sekhmet. That's okay. And then Madam Web. I mean, if that was influenced based off the movie. But a couple stand out to you as like, dude, I just absolutely do not like this comic character.
I was never an Aquaman guy. I'm not a hater. You know what I mean? I'm open to it. It's just I was never
because he's never been shit. I mean, Aquaman literally is supposed to be the underwater Superman, but they never got him to that until the Jason Momoa character came out.
And they had to reinvent Aquaman entirely to make people like him. Yeah,
right. Damn.
Yeah.
Dane Manton says, big fan from Yorkshire, England. Look at that.
Oh, okay.
Only found you guys a month ago, so still working through the old episodes. Any chance of a deep dive hidden gem on the High Evolutionary?
Oh, definitely.
That's a good one.
Definitely.
Yeah, another one, dude. Not really a hidden gem anymore after Guardians 3. I know he's into way more stuff than what's shown. Oh yeah, dude, he is a lot. You've seen Guardians 3?
No.
Dude, it's great. Did you like the first two Guardians?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think it's the best one, honestly.
Yeah.
I think the Christmas special is the best.
I did see Guardians 3.
You did?
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
Yep. High Evolutionary was a sick bastard in that, but he's even worse in the comics, dude. And he's tied into so many other characters. Somebody we were talking about recently that he was a big...
He's tied to Wanda and Pietro.
Yep.
He's tied to... So there's this mountain, around, it's kind of doomish, right? Mount Wundagore, where they did all these experiments on their own animals. So they created these. So the High Evolutionary evolved these animals into servants and helpers and things like that.
Like what he did with Rocket in the movie,
right? And they would help him with his experiments and stuff. So, but Wanda and Peter Maximoff was involved in that. So they kind of thought that this person was their father, Magneto, but then the High Evolution. It's weird, but it's kind of all intertwined into that.
Basically, Wanda and Pietro need to go on Maury because they don't know who the father is. Right? Nope, we have no idea. So maybe we can help them find that out.
There you go.
But yeah, he was sick, and he High Evolutionary basically enhanced their powers because they were born mutants.
Right.
In the MCU, that was done. Hydra did that with the scepter, or whatever. But in the comics, High Evolutionary played that role. But yeah, he's a sick fuck, dude. Really bad. Alan Awesome, he says, "What's up, Mike and Adrian? First, I got to say, you guys have the best comic book show podcast, hands down. Absolutely, thumbs up." Well, he watched the 8-minute preview of Kraven. Honestly, wasn't looking forward to watching another movie about comic book villain made by Sony. Yeah, but I had to say I'm intrigued. There was a cool little Easter egg in the preview. So Kraven's inmate number was 0864. Kraven's first appearance was Amazing Spider-Man number 15, and it was released on August 1964. So 864. Look at that. Good job, Alan. That is awesome.
Nice.
Broman Williams is back, dude. Broman. Yeah. Broman's been we used to have this guy God Mode, right? He'd comment every week. He had good questions. Right. He was always there. One day he disappeared. We sent out a search party. We've not found. So if you see God Mode, let us know.
God Mode, okay.
Yeah, where are you? But Broman Williams has kind of taken the role of God Mode. So he's a new God Mode. He said, "What's up, Mike and Adrian?" While partaking with the devil's lettuce. If you know, you know. Oh yeah. It hit me. As you see, it's a lot of people on here requesting WWE content. I think you should review Raw and SmackDown every week since you record on Sundays. He knows all the stuff here. Catch Raw, blah, blah, blah. He says, you don't have to pay me for the idea. I definitely won't. Just send the black and red only comics hat you're wearing. We're good. So we've had a desire or a request for more WWE content. But I will tell you, I just don't have the damn time to watch it. So as of right now, what I can commit to is the monthly PLEs. I will discuss those. I did not watch the one this past Saturday. I was actually busy preparing for this. So it's just not enough time in the day, dude. What do they want from me, dude? You know? But yeah.
You just got to sleep less, dude.
Dude, I'm already only sleeping 4 or 5 hours. I don't know how much less I can do.
4 or 5 hours? That's for pussies, dude.
Damn. All right. T. Price, one of my favorite episodes by far. I've been watching for months now. You guys are awesome at what you do, and I'm here for it. Thank you. Plank to Tank. We know Plank. Hey, guys, cheers for sort of answering my questions. He asked about the sidekick partner. But that was a hard question, Plank to Tank. So you get that. But would like to say you guys are my number one, well, you should say that, podcast of the year on Spotify. Was thinking of a good name for us fans. How about the Legion of Fuck You, Rotten Tomatoes? That was the best one so far, but we still got to refine it, you know. Score Wolf says, y'all are hating on Michael Keaton because he's the only Batman who embraces his role as Batman outside of the theater, and he's the only Batman who came back to reprise his role in another hero's movie, so that's why he's my favorite. I can't give him credit because he cosplays as Batman or showed up, or because he couldn't turn down the Flash. He should have. I actually discredit him for that, dude.
Right.
You seen the Flash?
I still have not.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I will say it is probably better than Madam Web.
It's better than Madam Web, but since you love movies that just kind of they're painful to watch.
Oh yeah, you should.
It would be so much fun for you to watch.
Okay,
it definitely is so much.
It's a good drinking movie.
Absolutely,
absolutely,
yeah. That's the best thing about Mystic too. You serve beer there. So,
yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely a drinking movie.
Well,
but
they actually serve you to drink.
But yeah, I don't think that makes him the best Batman. Now, we talked about this last week because we reviewed Batman Returns again, because that is a Christmas movie, as we determined here. How do you feel about Michael Keaton's Batman?
I love it.
You do?
I do. I have happy memories of those movies. I rewatched it recently.
Yep.
You know, they're Tim Burton movies.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
They are.
They're fun. They're
Yep.
cartoonish.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not in the same vein as like the Batman, which is two different entities.
Yeah.
But they're fun for what they were.
Yep.
They're fun for what they were. Is he the best Batman? No.
No.
And that's fair to say.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or he's just not. He's not. Robert is closer to my Batman.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I think everyone has their own Batman. I think Robert is probably closer to my Batman.
Got
You
it.
still have people who are out there who Adam West is their guy.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Yep. We call those people wrong.
And they're probably older than me.
Right? Yeah. So he's Rafona. I don't know what that means. Agree. So glad that someone else recognized that Keaton wasn't all that. I think nostalgia plays a part in all the love he gets.
Sure.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
I agree with that.
John Bonvon's back. Dude, he's an every week guy too.
Yeah.
My screen name comes from my pay stub in the Coast Guard that says John B. Vaughn. And it would be funny. He goes on to talk about his nickname, but here's the other part here. He says he grew up in a small town called Mauriceville, Texas. He's the guy who said his first comic was Sonic, of all things.
Really?
Yeah. Here's why. He grew up in a small town, and the grocery store only had Sonic, and I loved it. You guys cracked me up. So he gets a pass for that.
Yeah.
Because
I
if
get
like
that.
you walk into like the store we were talking about, and you go past Batman and Hulk, and you go, yo, give me that Sonic shit. I gotta question you, John Bonvon, but
No, it's kind of like when I was growing up. We only had 3 channels, and I could only watch 2 of them because I had antenna duty.
Yeah.
Right. So I give him that.
yeah, so you get a pass, dude. Pure Venom 887. What's up, Mike and Adrian? Loving the podcast. Found you on TikTok. Kept scrolling. These dudes are hilarious. I'm gonna go watch some episodes. Keep them coming. Make Mondays great while I'm driving my school bus. Yo, you should play it for all the kids too.
Yeah,
They're gonna learn more from us than they learn at school.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
And you keep them in line at the same time.
Absolutely. So he's got 3 things. He says, thanks for getting me into the Penguin. Wasn't going to watch it, but y'all boosted up so much outside of the reviews. And I was like, okay, so we're influencing people.
There you go.
So we've been we know that Kevin Feige watches us. We know James Gunn watches us. We're like, dude, just instead of doing these test screenings, instead of putting out 8 minutes here, just send us the shit.
Yeah.
And we'll tell you what.
About how they're fucking up these characters
There you go.
today. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Maple Grove, he's on here every week. As always, great episode, guys. Generally look forward to it every week. Good job. With Batman Returns talk, I had a thought. Out of live-action Alfreds, who would your top 5 be? My personal favorite is the Alfred from Gotham. I don't know if I had a top 5, but, I mean, Michael Caine to me is my favorite,
Caine,
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one who's underrated is Jeremy Irons in the shitty-ass Snyderverse. I thought he was good. We just didn't see enough of him. Now, he wasn't that good because he was allowing Batman to go out there and kill people like a mercenary.
Yeah.
So there's that. We got to put some of the blame on Alfred. I like Michael Gough from the Tim Burton ones.
Oh,
The original.
yeah.
I know you're not a fan of
Yeah,
his.
visually, he's,
yeah.
yeah.
And I'm not the only thing I don't like about the Amazing Battinson world, Chris, is Andy Serkis's Alfred.
I
don't like
agree.
it, dude.
He was
Yeah.
pretty.
Yeah. You got a favorite one? Is it Michael Caine?
Yeah, I would go with Michael Caine.
Yeah.
Michael Caine.
Funny thing is, the guy above him was talking about Michael Keaton coming back. If he plays anyone, he should play fucking Alfred. That's what he looks
I was
like.
gonna say
Like-
Michael Keaton coming back as Alfred. That'll work.
I mean, seriously, we could have Michael Caine play Batman at this point if
Yeah.
Michael Keaton still is, So
I would love that. I would love that.
let's go. No. JLC Comics, another brilliant show. Past couple of shows you've mentioned singing in the theaters. The Rock came out and said, if you paid your hard-earned money, you should go sing in the theaters. And we're on the side of you should shut the fuck up while we all watch the movie, right?
Right.
So he says, what's your guys' take on cheering? For example, I went to see Endgame in theater 3 times. The second time I saw it, when Cap picked up Mjolnir, the crowd went nuts. And again, when Cap said Avengers Assemble, I remember thinking it was funny at the time, but so glad I'd already seen it. Cheering was loud. I couldn't hear the film. And he said this trend is especially in Marvel movies. It happened after every cameo in Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah.
And then he says this, JLC is from Newcastle, England, a stone throw away from Scotland. We're getting closer, Adrian.
We're getting closer.
So how do you feel about cheering in the movie?
I think during the Avengers, it was fun because it was you felt part of a
Absolutely.
movement.
Right.
You know
Yep.
what I mean? Especially because it was the end of that
Yes.
thing. So I think it was completely warranted. Now I don't think doing it all the time.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's like,
Well, the
all
thing
right.
about cheering is like it's any emotion. It's something that singing is premeditated.
Yeah.
You can decide to do that. Cheering is an emotion,
Yeah.
anger, crying. I mean, you don't hear people necessarily crying, but it does happen in movies.
Right.
You get the ice sweat going. I think it's allowable, but for you to be like standing up, making grunts and moans and, and clicks and pops, with everything that happens, you really can't control the cheering. I think it's acceptable.
Yeah.
But then just move on.
I agree. Keep it short.
Right.
Keep it short.
Yeah, I agree with you. It depending on the movie.
Yeah.
Like, let's not go to Kraven and start cheering. Like it's new movie. Right. Endgame makes sense, dude. We've been building towards this for 10 years. Moments that we've always wanted to see on screen. I was in there. Yeah, in the first showing of Endgame, everybody was losing their mind. It was cool to be a part.
Right. It was cool to be a part of. Yeah, I agree.
It was more about the experience than just, hey, did I miss this one?
Right.
Right.
It's like watching a football game.
Yeah.
A nice touchdown, nice pass, big hit. There's going to be some emotion.
Right.
You can't really control it, but you quickly get over it, and then we move on.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Switching to TikTok, Wormy says Michael Keaton was a hit as Batman. Everyone else that followed him has been a poor ripoff. I highly disagree. I don't think anyone's ripped off him.
How old is this commenter?
Yeah, in 1987, so he's a couple years younger than me. So
he wants attention.
Yeah, exactly. You're blinded by your nostalgia, I guess. Insomniac 084 says the Hawk Tuah girl is about to get prison time.
What?
We talked about this last week because I did a sneaker reveal here because I was tired of seeing them in my feed. I just took my shoe off and showed everyone and showed how stupid it was. But anyways, it's like you can go viral doing the craziest shit. The Hawk Tuah girl we've seen,
Yeah.
But now they're saying she's going to get some prison time for, I guess, a Bitcoin, fraud or some shit. So who the hell knows? But anyways,
and who the hell cares?
Here's another one. Witchy or WTC, I guess. Witchy Poo says the Hawk Tuah girl video is better than Zack Snyder's Justice League. Agree.
What is the Hawk Tuah girl video? When she was just first getting
the
interviewed?
first one. Yeah, is that better than the Snyder cut?
I think so.
I think so. Yeah, we'll go with yes. That's gonna piss some people off. I know it's an opinion, but She-Hulk was objectively a better show than Secret Invasion. That show was a mess. Also, Batman should kill once. The Joker, that guy needs to go. Yeah, I'm gonna go across the board. Yes, I think we've said that before. She-Hulk, as much as it was not a good show, it was better than Secret Invasion.
Yeah.
Dakwa Aquafest says thanks for doing Etrigan, the demon.
Etrigan, yep.
Hidden Gem. So he's thanking you, Dr. Aquafresh there. A Shane 83. Wow, terrible takes. LOL. Your take's a terrible take. Yeah. Like it's a take. How could who makes you the judge of someone's?
He did
take?
a little bit of a drive-by on that one.
Terrible take. Yeah, like Jesus. It's just my opinion, dude. Or like everyone thinks like everything you say is just this thought out take. I'm gonna be edgy. Like,
yeah, exactly. We're not philosophers here.
No.
You know what I mean?
Someone asked a question and we answer, dude. Calm down, bro. Or as my 8-year-old says, chill down. Chill down. Let's see. Wormies, he's back. How is Emo Pattinson a better Bruce Wayne than Keaton? Pattinson is horrible. I love people that don't know shit, like Wormy here, they always go, that's their go-to. Emo. He's so emo. Like it's a knock. Like you just learned emo since you're old. Like your kid taught you this word. But like, come on, dude. Like what is so emo?
They're talking
It's
about
what is
Batman.
emo?
Yeah.
I don't even know what emo means.
It's like, dark makeup, shit like that. Like
just being edgy.
yeah, edgy.
Being edgy.
I'm
just,
depressed.
I
I'm-
hate
yeah.
my dad. Just stuff like that. Which he does do in that movie. For a little bit, he's like,
does.
I hate Alfred.
Yeah. But I mean, is Batman not borderline emo in general?
That's the character. That's,
Go watch Adam West, Wormy. C-Swag 28. I thought The Flash was better than the whole Venom trilogy. Nah. No. Tony Alvarado says, I literally just subbed. Iron Man 3 is the GOAT. I wouldn't go that far, but we did Iron Man 3.
I'm an Iron Man fan, but that's a bit
the GOAT?
stretch.
No. Now, Iron Man 3, also a Christmas movie.
Yeah,
we
also
talked
a
about it a few
Christmas
weeks
movie.
ago. So
Yep.
Chris is on the same page there. We got two more here. VH1 says, Franklin Richards does not solo the Justice League. I think he absolutely solos the Justice
He
League.
absolutely
Like
solos
before
Justice League,
breakfast.
right?
Yep.
Inside the womb, he solos the Justice League.
Yes. And last one, Grumpy Rican 1976. Iron Man 3. Do you guys like Green Lantern movie too? All right, dude. Like, we're apples and oranges here. I mean, Iron Man 3, Green Lantern. I've actually never seen the Green Lantern movie.
It was pretty bad.
It's bad, okay.
Yeah, that's why Ryan Reynolds makes fun
Absolutely.
of himself.
I do think new movies have come out that are significantly worse.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
think you lose anything by watching it. You know what I
Okay.
mean? I see it for the attempt.
Yeah.
All right.
You know what I mean?
So I should check it out, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's not great. It's not great. It's not good. But you see it for the attempt. You're like, okay, this is a starting line.
Gotcha.
You can get better than this.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is We Respond. We're going to move on to, this is a segment. So Adrian's been doing Hidden Gem for, I don't know, over a year now, probably.
I don't know.
But lately we've been taking suggestions, you know, because it's like, why should we do all the work? Y'all do some too. Well, fuck, you're not here for free, you know? Well, you are, but
Well, apparently we are here for
for now,
So
you know?
we'll see
And
how
I think
it
I
works
just
out.
ruined that with my Kraven the Hunter review. So no, I was kidding. This is my favorite movie ever, guys. Anyways, who's on Hidden Gem this week, dude?
All right, so keeping with the spirit, Batman, Court of Owls.
Okay.
So I thought it'd be interesting to, we talk a lot about the Talon and then the Talons, right? So this week's Hidden Gem is the Talons.
Okay.
So, so basically the Talons are, they're the bodyguards of the Court of Owls. And we've already talked about the Court of Owls. They're a bunch of rich people that's been controlling things behind the scenes, underground, throughout Gotham's history. So I thought it'd be interesting to talk about how they are able to enforce their decisions. So it's not just about money. You out of line, they're going to send the Talons after you, right?
Got it.
So basically, the Talons are the bodyguards and assassins for the Court of Owls, the Court of Owls secret society. Throughout existence, they've always had the Talon sect, basically a loyal group of lethal assassins. So they were first mentioned in Gotham City as a nursery rhyme. Remember in the show, The Court of Owls, the movie, Bruce's father was reading it, was telling him that at bedtime like it was a fairy tale.
Right.
And he thought it was a fairy tale up until something happened to when his parents got killed. He thought that the Court of Owls was behind it. He, as a kid, went out and started trying to investigate and found out that he couldn't find anything about him. But then it come back years later that there was actually a Court of Owls, right? The court, the Talons with an S there's always a prime, and he's called the Talon. And these guys are basically they're groomed, they're identified, they're groomed, they brought into this, and they have different levels of like power and authority. But again, there's always a Talon. Interestingly enough, like the top 10 things about them is the first thing is that they are groomed from the circus, right? Because they recognize that in order for the Talons to do what they do, it's easy for them to get someone that's already acrobatic. They recognize that being an acrobat, being a gymnast, having those kind of features.
They got a foundation.
They have a foundation.
Yep.
And then they, brainwash them and then bring them into the talent. So, that's where they get them from. Everybody's like,
Great
all these
guys.
Exactly.
What a hell of a
Right.
team.
Exactly. So, powers and abilities, superhuman. Some of them have superhuman powers. Some don't. The Talon is the Talon. The leader is always the supreme. The biggest thing is that because they've been dealing with these, they've been the bodyguards for centuries. One of the powers is they have some level of immortality. Now I didn't even know there's like 6 levels of immortality. There's one where you can just you are immune to death because you can self-heal yourself, or you can resurrect yourself, or there's like a parasitic immortality where, you can die, but there's an external force that can bring you back to life. There's immortality where, you are already dead, so there's no actual concept of life in you in the first place. Or there's a immortality where you have a spirit that embodies you, so you are actually separate from the physical form, and there's another entity that embodies you. So they are levels 1 through 3 of immortality. So the Talon, he is pretty much immortal, right? But they have successions. So periodically, there's a lower level Talon that can challenge the current Talon to take over his spot. So because you wonder, like, why does the original Talon, there is a older Talon, but why doesn't the original Talon just rule these assassins throughout history? Well, because they have it's like a like in college, there's a band standoff. These guys would come up and challenge the original talent. They can take over or not.
Almost like the Black Panther, like trying to fight for the throne type shit.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So they have that process. So immortality, they're master of weapons. Of course, the Court of Owls will provide them with any level of technology and weapon that they absolutely need. So there's all that stuff. But the Talon, because you mentioned earlier that the Talon, this guy stands over Bruce Wayne, Batman. Mm-hmm. I mean, as you saw, hand to hand, he was whooping Batman's ass, right? Yeah. So he's that capable, and a lot of them are that capable. Besides the fact that, as we saw, like during that the museum fight, Batman's killing them, blowing them up, and they just keep coming back, right? Because they can take bullets to the heads, knives to the heads, serious damage, and they keep coming back because they have that resurrection capability and stuff. But all kinds of weapons they have access to. Their immunity, they have different immunities, immunity to soul manipulation, their resistance to, certain poisons. Of course, freezing is a problem. Yeah. A lot of impact, obviously, because, Batman and Nightwing and even Damian, they just messing these dudes up and they just keep coming back. So basically, these guys are almost indestructible, but not quite. But even if they die, they can always bring them back. Weapons, they first of all, you got the martial arts stuff, the knives, the blades, acrobatics, obviously, stealth, obviously, espionage, gadgetry, intimidation. I mean, if you keep killing them, they keep coming back. That's intimidating by itself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Swordsmanship, but again, they have the accelerated healing, resistance to pain, and all that kind of stuff. And of course, their weakness is the cold, which we saw in the Batcave. Now, the other thing I saw, we talk about other characters, but in this show, The Court of Owls, I mean, Batman's doing all this stuff, the flipping around, the bombs, the Ironman suit, and Alfred just comes out with a just regular old shotgun, and he's taking everybody out. So that was funny. Yeah. But so the top 10 things about the Talons, that's not really known. So first mentioned as a nursery rhyme, I brought that up. The oldest talent from the 17th century. That's how long the Court of Owls have been around, the 17th century. And for the young people that can't even write in cursive, right. they don't know what a century is. It's 100 years. Yes. So the 17th century, and we're in what? The 21st. Correct. So a long time they've been hanging around. The oldest known talent the court has ever used was Uriah Boone. So theoretically, a talent, because they are practically immortal, Uriah Boone could be the head of the Talons today, but there has been many since him due to this succession thing. Many taken from the Haley Circus, iconic location, the Haley Circus, known for their acrobatic abilities, well served in training. So like I said, brainwash them, reprogram them, make them a talent. Major talent figures related to Dick Grayson. William Cobb was Dick Grayson's grandfather. At some point, and that's one of the things down here, turned Dick Grayson into the Gray Son of Gotham. Dick Grayson had a gunshot head wound, and Cobb took this as an advantage to try to turn Grayson over. That's probably where Batman slapped the tooth out of his mouth. Let me see. The line of succession, it turns out the Court of Owls has a line of succession in which you play to choose who becomes the next Talon. We talked about that. William Cobb defeated by Batman. So the labyrinth scene that we talked about earlier, right? So during this, at some point, Batman is probably at the end of it. He's about to give up. And he's going through the labyrinth, and then somehow he sees a picture of one of his ancestors. It pisses him off, and he goes and beats this guy's ass. And then the Court of Owls basically is like, let's just dismiss this guy because he's not going to be able to recover from being defeated by the Batman.
He should just get used to it, because that's what happens is you get defeated by the Batman.
Exactly, exactly. One talent joined the Birds of Prey, Mary Turner. She was a young woman from the 1940s, disfigured by a firebomb attack by the Japanese, taken in by Haley Circus, where she obviously learned these things and was attracted by a talent, eventually joined the Birds of Prey. William Cobb led Bane's army. whole takeover, Mad Hatter, blah, 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 blah. So he ends up taking over. So he was recruited by Bane. He was recruited by Bane, and then he took over his army as his general.
Okay.
And then, of course,
not Little Bane, the real Bane.
Yeah, the real Bane. And, number 10 was, the Dick Grayson turned into the son of Gotham.
Yeah.
So a lot of stuff behind the Talons, a lot of history. I think this is intriguing because you just take the Talons as for face value.
Yeah.
Because everybody's focusing on the Court of Owls.
Right.
And it's like those characters that help build Batman or the characters that help build Spider-Man. The Talons is that a group that help builds the Court of Owls, which makes because it's not really the Court of Owls that's the villain to Batman and Bruce Wayne. It's the Talons because they're running around doing all the shadowy
Yeah, the Talons the real threat. Yeah,
exactly.
These little guys with the mask ain't gonna do shit.
Yeah.
Batman whip all your asses, but it's their power and it's having the Talons at their disposal.
Right. So that was it. The Talons. I thought it was just interesting to highlight these guys. I mean, I think that's an awesome group.
Absolutely.
And then even in the animated movie, how they got them in these pods filled with this life-giving stuff. They just keeping them alive, but they can only keep them alive for so long, and they were continuously working on keeping them alive. Now, the Talon was the epitome, so obviously what they were doing worked on him. Yeah. But they keep these soldiers, and they could keep them for centuries. And they can resurrect them and reuse them however they wanted them. So pretty cool stuff, man.
Damn, crazy. Well, there you have it. Hidden Gem, another 5-star presentation by Adrian. And it was very apropos, I guess, for this week. It was good like that. Dude. Yeah. It's like we're professionals. Bro.
We are.
It's like, I've been doing this. But speaking of, we're going to wrap this thing up. It's going to be in professionals. We like to wrap up every week, Chris, with agree to disagree. And this is probably the biggest teaching lesson for all of those watching because a lot of times, they get upset with our take. Or, I love this, you're wrong. Dude. These are how you created the first night. It wasn't based off of a real person.
Right,
It's not that's not based on true events, right?
No.
Neither is Court of Owls. This did not really happen.
Right.
So when we say this one would beat that one, dude, the answer is whoever the fucking writer wants. They figured out a way for a regular human being, Bruce Wayne, to beat a damn alien god Superman. They figured that out,
right?
And from a writing standpoint. So everyone just calm the fuck down, okay? Jesus.
Language.
Anyway, so this is agree to disagree. I'm gonna throw out 10 of my opinions here, and then y'all are just gonna let me know if you agree or you disagree, and no one's gonna be upset except for those watching, right? I can guarantee that. So are you ready?
Let's do it.
Let's fucking go.
Let's do it. Number 1. And some of these, Chris, you may not be able to answer, but, just pretend or whatever. You'll try. Give your best guess. So, number 1, Kraven the Hunter is the best of the Sony fake villain films.
I agree with that.
What you've said, I would agree.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair
I'll
enough.
take your word on it.
Yeah, as you should. I mean, you learn that when they just take my word, life's a lot better.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'll take that even further. So next week when we change our mind, you can say, hey, based on the information I got at the time.
Yes. Great point. 2, Scarlet Witch would solo Superman.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Batman and Robin was better than Madam Web.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty much any Batman was better than that.
All right, so you agree.
Yeah.
I think I could do a better Batman.
You definitely could.
Definitely.
I agree with that. Sony should be banned from making Spider-Man live-action movies without the MCU.
Sony should be banned from making comic book movies, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I think you guys have had a good try. I don't think, it just didn't work.
Yeah,
that's okay.
Good try.
There's a some wording somewhere. I think it's in some bathroom even.
Yeah.
It's like if you've done your best, I'm paraphrasing. If you've done your best, then you've done your best, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Sony, they haven't done their best. I think that they would just basically, we have to do a movie every 3 years. Let's just put out some shit, and whatever happens, and that's their attitude
again,
because it shows.
Yeah.
They know how they're doing. When you're performing badly at work.
Right.
You know.
Absolutely. It's not a shock. Yeah. Am I getting fired? Yes. Kraven, Venom, and Morbius should all face the MCU Spider-Man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sure.
Val Kilmer was a better Bruce Wayne than Michael Keaton.
Ugh. I disagree with that one.
Okay.
I disagree with that too.
All right.
Yeah.
That's it. Fuck you guys, man. I'm tired of everyone's shit here. I've had enough. No. Battinson is the best on-screen Batman.
I disagree with that.
I might disagree. I've been coming back around to Bale.
Really?
Yeah,
See?
and it might be because of how much of him we had.
Okay, I just want you to hear that. Yeah.
I'm gonna hold out until the sequel.
Okay.
All right.
All right, that's fair.
And I agree with that. And I've said, I mean, I'm just having a problem translating Edward into
Oh yeah,
you know
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
because I mean it was like so many years and there was like nothing or even anything significant. So I haven't seen him in any other role than that. But then you also got to deal with, you know, we've seen Bale, you know, for 3 movies.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's
Yeah.
like, to me, the epitome of the Bruce Wayne Batman combination. And then you got this kid coming in. I mean, it's early years,
Sure.
which is appropriate, and that's
Yeah,
how I'm
yep.
looking at it.
Yeah. I would say that I think Bale has the best Bruce Wayne. I think he nailed the Bruce Wayne part. It's the voice is just so bad. It's so distracting. It really is.
That's all right.
It got worse as it went on.
Oh my! I know it's almost like, did y'all edit and make it work?
Yeah.
I'd be okay. You know how George Lucas likes to like fix his Star Wars movies over and over and over.
Wow.
I'd be okay if they like fix that audio somehow, clean it up, dude. I don't know, denoise it or some shit. Send it to me. I got you. I'll do that one for free. Next up, Venom was better than the Flash.
Yes, I agree.
Yes.
I didn't see the Flash, so I gotta stay out of that one.
Yeah.
But the
All right, that's fair.
Venom wasn't great.
It wasn't great. No, and the
And,
Flash was.
guess what? The Flash wasn't.
Flash was less wasn't great. You know.
There you go.
Matt Reeves should adapt Court of Owls into the Batman too.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I agree. I would love to see part of it in there. I think it would fit better in its own self-contained
Sure.
Batman story
sure.
than in the DCEU. You know what I mean?
Oh,
So
yeah.
I think it would fit better just in its own thing
Absolutely.
within his universe.
And last up, everyone watching should go to chrisboyleart.com and support our guests.
Yes, thank
Absolutely.
You. Yep.
Buy the first night.
Thank
do
you.
something.
New stuff on the way. New Kickstarters coming out. So a lot in store for the next year.
There we go. We'll
Nice.
keep you posted here. And then right after you do that, go to Only Comics YouTube page and subscribe there. Because chances are, if you watch one clip on TikTok, you could kind of prejudge us, right? You may think that we're you may think you're not going to like our shit. But then you go to YouTube, I promise you'll love it. So there you have it.
Absolutely.
Touch on one thing real quick. Scarlet Witch, Superman. Because I know people are like, how's that going to happen? I just, from a power standpoint, I don't see how it wouldn't happen. I mean, she has the reality bending ability.
You know, Mike, I like keeping it simple.
Yeah.
Just turn the air in his lungs into kryptonite.
There you
Simple.
go. It's over quick.
That's the equivalent of drowning.
Right.
Because everybody talking about, Black Panther, Sue, just drown him.
Right.
Simple.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too, dude. It would be over so quick. Now, and we've seen.
Or just teleport him back to Krypton before it blows up.
There you go.
Or
You can do that
a
too.
dimension that has a red sun in it.
Correct.
Something.
But I mean, we've
Simple.
seen, going back to someone's question earlier about X-Men comics, House of M. You ever read this story?
No, I've heard of it,
Phenomenal,
yeah.
dude. But we see how powerful. Like, she literally erases mutants by just saying no more mutants. Like that. Like, just removes all their powers. They all forget. It takes them a while to even figure out how to come back. And then we saw, in the MCU, the WandaVision show, we're still seeing, we saw the impact of that on Agatha.
Right.
I mean, however you feel about the show, you still see her power set there. And then one scene that I always go back to is in Endgame when Wanda's fighting Thanos. Dude, a few seconds more, she'd have killed him.
Right.
Like, I think she was taking her time because she wanted to make him suffer. But if she really wanted to, she could have just, in a snap, off Thanos. It would have been like that soul snatching scene from Doom.
Right. I think what people think about when coming up against Superman is his speed and his strength.
Yeah.
I mean, he's almost as fast as the Flash, so he
Right.
can definitely move. And then theoretically, if he can get to her, he can just simply snap her neck.
Sure.
I understand that.
But he's not going to do that.
But he's not going to do that.
Right.
Because he's a Boy Scout.
Correct.
He's going to want to analyze and talk it over, and Wanda don't give a shit.
No.
So in those fractions of a second when he's
Right.
thinking about it, he's done, dude.
Correct.
He's done.
Yep. That's like, dude, could he? Is he?
Sure.
He could, but he's not going to because he's Superman.
Right.
He's not going to.
Right.
Like, he'll just fly him up to the sun and drop him. When has he ever done that?
Right.
He's
Never.
because he's the Boy Scout.
Yep.
So it's like I'm taking all that into consideration. I'm saying I think yes, from a strength and a speed standpoint, yes. I mean, dude, Batman shouldn't be able to stand a chance against Superman, but he does.
Right.
Like so. Superman's too much of the Boy Scout for that to even happen.
Absolutely.
So there you have it. He would. So I mean, I think we would beat Superman, the three of us. We figure out a way. You know?
Right.
I mean,
even the bad Superman men, they're the Boy Scout or they're so into themselves. They're gonna tell you how great they are first.
Right.
And in that time, they get soloed.
Yep. So there you have it. Well, another fun show. Chris, thanks for coming out, dude.
Thank you, guys.
Blast from the past.
Yep.
So I know some of y'all said you were watching all the old episodes. You'll see Chris on here a good 3, 4, 5 times, something like that.
Yeah.
And you'll see me and Adrian on here 87 times. This is episode 87. Look at that,
that's
dude.
it.
We've been
Thank you,
around.
guys.
Been around for a long time, dude. We're getting old, you know. So, but we're just getting going. We keep this thing going. But I appreciate you coming out, Adrian. As always,
Absolutely.
appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. Share this with your friends. Make your kids watch it as a punishment, as a treat. I don't know, something.
Right.
Actually, maybe don't let your kids watch it. Yeah.
Maybe you should.
Yeah, maybe you should. Actually, we're
Matter of fact, that guy that drives the bus,
Yes.
put a big screen in front of the bus and
There
have
you
your
go.
kids. Trust me, you will never have a problem with the
Oh
kids
yeah, they
again.
won't be bouncing around.
No.
They won't be throwing shit.
They will
They'll
be riveted.
Absolutely, absolutely. And hey, go play some Marvel Rivals, dude. It's great.
Right.
I love it. So
Scotland, shout out.
Scotland,
Somebody.
yeah.
Shout
Somebody.
out,
Is there
yeah.
anyone from Scotland? We got the guy who's a stone's throw away, but we
Right.
don't have Scotland.
Yeah.
yet, dude.
Yeah, Stone's Throw, go take a drive over to
was gonna say,
Scotland.
yeah, call your
and
friend.
then call us.
Yeah.
Yeah, call somebody.
Something.
Seriously. So, anyways, guys, thanks for coming out. We'll see you next week right here on Only Comics.
Peace.